I met a gypsy.
GYPSY gang, and today, before we get into this episode, just going to give you an announcement of a new sponsor that I actually chased down to get them on the podcast, and that was because I really wanted to start using their products again. Now, if you've been following the podcast recently, you would know that we're on a massive health kick as we get ready to take on World Vets at Glen Helen in November of 2023. Athletic Greens is not only an all-in-one formula that helps me just cover all my nutritional bases, it's also the first healthy habit that I have that starts every single day. It sets the tone for a healthy day and just keeps my eyes laser focused on Glen Helen at the end of the year. Definitely notice improvements to my skin and massive improvements to my overall gut health. AG1 is packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients of the highest quality that are able to offer gut health support, mood support, can affect your energy each day, and contribute to overall healthier looking hair and skin. Go to athleticgreens.com/gypsytales if you want to get that free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs added to your first order. Thanks so much to the guys and girls at Athletic Greens. We're excited to have you on board.
Mellow.
Yum. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, it's way better than what I thought.
Just don't feel real, mate.
Don't feel real?
Nah. It's been me and Amber have been talking about this forever, and I know me and you've been talking about it forever, so it's cool. I'm like stoked.
Yeah, same, dude. It's are you rolling, Griff? Yeah, sweet. It's definitely a trip because, I mean, for me, like, Justin Barcia is so much of my childhood as like a moto kid, you know, not so much like childhood, but when I was like, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17, like that whole kind of age is just like, that's Bam Bam on a Geico bike, revving the absolute shit out of it. And it was just, I don't know, like, it just feels like that was the vibe that, I don't know, you literally created a vibe that everyone just jumped on.
Trying to keep it going.
Yeah, no. So to be actually like sitting here and doing it, and I think the cool thing too is probably like we've been talking for it feels like a couple of years, you know, like before actually doing this. So it's 100%. It's cool, and
yeah.
They always happen when they're supposed to, you know.
Well, exactly. And yeah, when you came on the scene, I was watching a lot, and Amber became big fans, so we wanted to do it. And then I was like, I just want to wait and just want to open the can of worms, but we decided to just pull the trigger now and then open the can of worms later in when the career's over, probably.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I've had like a few boys. I went through a period like before in this off season actually where I was like, dude, do these boys like are they stop fucking with the podcast? Because like people were keen, and then it seems like everyone got not keen. But I guess it's just, I mean, maybe you can speak on it, but I guess it's like it's hard because there's probably a lot of stuff that you'd want to say that it's just like you just really can't, and it just is what it is.
100%. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's such a, in a way, it's such a small sport, so you just have to, you know, keep it to yourself. You know, there's obviously, I'd love to open up and say everything that's on my mind and that I want to say, but at this point in the career, it's like, it's, you know, hold it until later. But I feel like I can make a sick, it'll be an insane podcast, but also it'd be like you could make a movie or a Netflix series out of the career I've went through. It's pretty rad, honestly, though. It's cool.
Yeah, man. No, I was thinking about it, and it seems like your career, especially, it's cool timing because we're doing this after San Diego, round 3 but 2. And Anaheim 1, you were winning the race, jumped off track. Pretty easy to do there. Like, a lot of guys made mistakes, right? But then you're on the podium with Eli and Coop this weekend at San Diego. And it's like, dude, we're in 2023. Like, you won titles in 11 and 12. So it's like literally a decade later, you're still on the fucking podium, you know, and it's a crazy long career. And to be, you know, if we go back to, you know, like when I was a kid, it's like you were like as famous back when you were on an 80 as you are now, essentially, you know, like in terms of the people in the sport, like knowing who you are. It's like 20 something years of like us following you. It's crazy.
No, that is crazy. And it's crazy to think that way. We've all of us, you know, in the 450 class have been racing together forever in the States. So it's quite crazy. And yeah, it's quite surreal, like still being in the sport and being, you know, able to be on the podium. That's gnarly. And yeah, the first race obviously was, dude, it was a shit show. It was literally like, just like I felt I had such a good off season, so I was just sending it, but in practice I was so slow and like just not comfortable. And then I get the whole shot in the main event and I'm just like, all right, let's go. And then obviously whiskeyed off the track and then crashed again. I was so bummed. And then they're like, oh yeah, next weekend's canceled. I'm like, this is stupid. But yeah, San Diego was good. And honestly, it was an intense race. I had so much pressure the whole race and like making passes, and then Kenny and Chase were behind me, and it was just, honestly, I don't think I breathed the whole race. I was like so tight, but to hold those guys off was pretty cool, and I feel actually really good about it. And the position I'm in right now is pretty good, and the new bike's good as well. So it's things are in a good spot.
Yeah, and it's just year on year on year on year on year. You seem to still be able to find a way to compete. And yeah, I just don't know if there's many people in the sport that have that level of like, I don't know, maybe like staying power, or just, you just seem like you find a way to make wins and podiums happen so consistently. And, you know, it's like the peers that you've raced with as well, like the guys that you really come up with, like you and Kenny have had crazy battles throughout your entire career. You and Eli, you and Dino, like there's so many guys that you could say that you've kind of like come up through the ranks with, and there's really only a few of you guys that are still like consistently getting on the podium, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty rad, and it is. We all have been racing for so long and so hard, and I've probably smashed all those guys so many times. So I wonder sometimes why they don't really like me that much. But I'm really trying to turn that leaf. But I still obviously am aggressive and will do whatever it takes to, you know, be on the podium and going for wins. But yeah, we're still here, and like even after the race, Kenny came up to me like literally the rhythm section after the finish line. He's like, dude, that was such a sick race. And I got so amped up. Like, that's what does it for me, dude. I was like, yeah, it was so sick, dude. Like, I was so amped as well. So it was cool. And me and Kenny have had like a love-hate relationship. So it's cool now. Like, me and him have like, we both have boys now. Like, we're so grown up. It's like, it's so wild. But yeah, at this point in my career, like, I still feel so good. So I still feel like I have a lot left in me to give as well. So it's pretty cool. It's a good feeling.
It's one of the unique things about not just our sport, but motorsport, because it's like, if you think about, you've got to be so good when you're so young to get to the top of the sport. Like, there's nobody that's, and this is in F1, this is in MotoGP, this is it, like any form of like really high level motorsport. The kids that are the guys that win titles and the guys that are like a 450 main event podium guys, they were winning at a super young age, right? And so like you and Eli have known each other since you were literally children. You and Ken have known it. Like, there's just not that many sports where like you have 30-year histories with the guys that you're racing. And I think when like people definitely, like, there's, you know, you're an aggressive rider, or Ando, like there's guys out there where you say like Vince, but I always just think about like the people that are watching the race just don't have context of like how many times you've camped in an RV like 50 feet away from these dudes, and like how many like, you know, you watch like the UFC and they've got like total minutes in the octagon. It's like, can you imagine total minutes of track time with Ken Roxon, or total minutes track time with Eli Tomac? Like, it's bound to some shit's bound to go down when you're on the track for a dude for like literally 30 years.
Yeah, it's God, the minutes we've all raced together, that would be insane to add up. And like even the, like the Minios, Loretta's, yeah, to think about that is so, it's kind of like surreal. It's just like we never really talk about this or think about this kind of stuff, so it's like, yeah, that's insane. And then like even like as little kids on like 65s, like playing like with little toy dirt bikes, like with all those guys too, like we've all done that, so we've all grown up together. And like, man, it's honestly wild to think about that, because like we don't really talk that much at the top level. Like, yeah, we're like fine and stuff, but it's not like we hang out or talk. We literally just do our work, race, go home, do our work. And like even on the off weekend, Star rented a Hemet backyard track, and we got the invite to go, and it was literally just me, Eli, practicing, like the only two factory guys and a couple privateer guys. It was just like, drive up and like, hey, what's up, man, how are you, and like respect each other and do our thing and go home. So it's, yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, for the most part, most of us respect each other, I feel like. And obviously, like, even this past weekend, like the pass I had on Chase, I was it's so difficult to have friends in this sport, because I consider Chase like, a friend, and I really liked him, and I think he's a badass on a motorcycle, and he does some insane stuff. So when I saw him go, I felt him go down, and I was like, oh, I was so bummed. And the first thing I come off the track, I kind of looked around for him, but he was gone. But I text him after the race. I'm like, dude, I know you don't want to hear from me right now, and you probably hate my guts, but like, so bummed on that, and you had a sick comeback, and hopefully we can let this go. And he's young, and he was like 100%, man, like, yeah, I don't want to carry on with this, I just want to move past it. And like, yeah, I was bummed, but it's racing and it is what it is. I was like, I respect that so much, and even respect him more as a rider, so it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a hard one. Like, you want to, I mean, the fans definitely want to see like exciting racing, and then there's stuff where it's like it's avoidable, and it's probably like dumb decisions that's made in the moment. Like, it's a mix of everything on the spectrum. And then there's times where like with chases, you're going down with Chase, it's like you've just come off a triple, flat left-hander, like sliding in. I mean, in the heat, like there's a crazy amount of shit that's going on in that moment. And then a guy goes down. So it's like there's a spectrum from fully didn't mean for it to happen to I wanted to fuck your night. And it looks the same to the end user.
100%.
On TV, you just you don't know which one of those motivations it was. But then there's certain guys that you see it happen a bunch, so you just automatically assume that it's the worst.
Well,
case
yeah,
scenario.
that's kind of me and Amber were talking about it after race, and they're like, I could literally, so like for instance, like Jason got me in that corner, and I was like totally fine with it because it was a good aggressive pass, like it is what it is. But like I could literally like breathe, and people will just be like so mad because my reputation obviously, but they just don't know us riders as human beings. They just know us with our helmets on and the riding. So that's what's like bums me out sometimes, because I'm like, like, yes, like me and Chase came together, but it wasn't even that, like, it wasn't a crazy pass or anything. He just, obviously he went down, but it's like, it was Barcia, so he's a piece of shit. Like, it's true though.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Well, I think one of the things too is like there's always a reason why people act the way that they act, right? So it's like you've been aggressive forever, and it's like that has to come from somewhere. There's something that happened when you're a kid. There's trauma. There's something that went on when you were growing up that like that was the style of racing that you came up on. Like and I don't know, maybe people don't know the story.
Yeah, the story is I went to MTF, and I don't know how old was I was probably like 11, 12 years old, and that was the youngest kid there at the time. And I went, had a buddy of ours, Pablo. He was from New York City. He did like fitness classes, and he actually ended up training Stuart James for a couple of years, and like a great friend of mine. He lives in Singapore now, but anyways, he paid for me a week to go to MTF, and Colleen was stoked on me, I guess, and like liked my style and my riding, and she got me hooked up with the Red Bull, and I stayed there for like ever, pretty much until I went pro. And I was just a young kid and going up against these big bikes on like ragged out. I had the most ragged out equipment, and I just would send it. And I don't know, the aggressive thing came from just having to fight every day. I rode every day there, and I was just in a dog fight always. And I don't know, that's like was the style and the mentality. Even like I know Verb has some videos from back in the day, me there like fighting with the big bikes, and like it was just always a brawl. And I don't know how I never got my ass kicked there, because I was always just mouthing off and riding hard and yeah, I don't know, I was just full send. It was crazy. But yeah, that's definitely where it came from. And Colleen loved it, and like all the trainers there loved it, so I thought that was okay. Like, and yeah, obviously sometimes it's a bit much, and it seems like the last couple of years the sport is changing a little in ways, and they don't really want that anymore. But then you have like Supercross, like we'll put it on the big screen and pump it up, and like they obviously want to make money off it. So it's like, okay, we're gonna fine you. I don't know, I've said so many fines from the AMA, it's jokes, but like it's like they fine you and then they play it on the big screen next weekend. So it's kind of like, what do you guys like, make your mind up? It's silly. Like even the Jason thing this weekend, like we don't have to go into it or nothing, but like he did a tweet or something, and they had it on the big screen, but they tell him like, don't do that. It's like, you guys need to make up your mind. Do I think Jason should have tweeted that? No, not at this professional of level. I didn't know about it. It was hilarious. I was in the press conference and someone was like, did you see the tweet? And I'm like, don't know what you're talking about. It was like so awkward, and they're like, well, they put it on the big screen, and I was like, dude, I'm not on my cell phone. Like, that's rad that Jason has the mental capacity to go on Twitter and do that while he's racing a day, but I'm like trying to help my wife with the baby and like do all this stuff. I'm not like, I'm focused on the race. And so yeah, I had no idea about it, so it caught me off guard. I thought it was pretty wild, but yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because dude, it's the case in every motorsport, right? And it's like it's the same everywhere. So you get Conor McGregor throws a dolly into a bus that shatters the glass and like cuts the face of like that's fucking gnarly, right? And what do they run that promo in like Times Square, dude. Like they rent the Jumbotron in Times Square and play that shit for the fight with Khabib. Guess what? That's the biggest fight of all time. So, you know, V8 Supercars, it's the same thing. Like that's Australia's NASCAR kind of deal, right? They fine you for doing burnouts after the race. And what do? They use that burnout in every single promo for every single commercial that's on TV. So it's the same in every sport. So like, I kind of get it on the one hand, but then it's the messaging to the riders is like, don't be a badass, don't do like dumb shit. But then it's like, but when you do the dumb shit, we're definitely gonna post it. So it's like, but as far as the tweet goes from Jason, it's like, I'm massive fans of both of you guys, and
yeah.
And I'm kind of here for it. Because
no, I mean
it's engaging.
Yeah, no, it is. It's good for the sport, and yeah, it's just funny, I guess, really, because I'm like trying to be a little bit more adult somehow, and obviously I'm still so much of a kid inside, so it's definitely funny. And like they're like in the press conference, they're like, so are you gonna retaliate when you caught him in the main event? I'm like, dude, I'm literally just trying to race, and I don't know what was going to happen. I was just going to try to pass him somewhere or another. And like I raced everybody the same. Like I said, like even the pass on Chase, like it wasn't dirty in my opinion. It was just an aggressive pass, but like, you know, I didn't think he was going to go down, but I wouldn't have raced anyone different. Like, I don't care if it's my like brother out there, like I'm going to race him the same no matter what. So it's definitely, this stuff's good for the sport. And, you know, definitely they can be a bit, not too strict sometimes. Like there's stuff that needs to be handled for sure, but then other times it's just like, just let us do our thing and be our show our personalities.
Yeah, and I mean, for whatever, like, I mean, for better or worse, like it's a contact sport, you know, and you can see that in the UFC, like as soon as there can be the most technical, like grappling on the fence or on the ground, and if a dude's not gushing blood from his forehead, the crowd's just like, get up, come on.
Yeah.
So it's like in our sport, the equivalent is dudes taking each other out. So it's just like, I mean, it's hard, and I think it gets even harder for you guys because there's so much on the line, and to win a championship nowadays, it's like you've got to be so flawless to win a championship, and it's like, dude, 2 rounds in, Ando's 20 points back. It's like that's like a chasm to overcome now.
Yeah, the sport is insane, and how many races there are and things like that, and how we have to be really perfect. Even that first race in Anaheim, I was so bummed. I was like 11th place. Like, what a loser! Like, I was just so bummed on it. Like to lose that many points. But we have to definitely be, man. There's so much on the line. Just like last year with Mookie at Salt Lake. Like I was going for third in the championship. That was huge for me, and like I got booed out of that stadium. That was pretty intense. I was like, I never got like popcorn and drinks and stuff like that thrown at me, so that was like I kind of loved it secretly. Like it was quite the thrill, but it was intense as well. It was cool, but yeah, that was just like people don't realize like how much is on the line, and that we're risking our lives and sending it, and people love watching that. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's cool to see. If we were all just straight line and follow the leader, it'd be quite boring.
Oh, dude, 100%, man. Is Mookie like the one guy that scares you when you take him out? Because I feel like there's not that many guys that are like super imposing that would really like fuck your shit up, But I feel like if you got Mookie mad enough, then like there's definitely could be an issue.
Yeah, but I'm so silly because I'd like being at MTF as a kid, just like being so aggressive with these older guys. And like I said, I don't know how I never got beat up, because now I still don't think that way. I'm just like, but yeah, Malcolm is a tank, and like I had Weston as a teammate back in the day, and he was a tank. So it was kind of like you don't really want to mess with those big guys, but at the same time, my brain has this switch, and I just don't think about anything like that while I'm racing. It's pretty stupid.
The MTF thing makes sense, and also just kind of the New York thing. Like you just seem like you seem like the kind of guy that could run a New York pool hall. You know what I mean? And as soon as people started carrying on, you'd be like snapping pool cues and like sucking out at people. Yeah. And you're like, you don't fuck with JB, man.
Maybe, I don't know. My mom's quite tough and like New York tough, so it's cool. And then my dad, he's pretty quiet and calm. So I think I have a little bit of both of them. But when my dad gets to a level, like he would definitely, I feel like he would mess someone up big time. I never seen him do that, but I heard stories when he was a kid, and like him like getting like beat with a baseball bat and just kept getting up and like fight people up. So yeah, it's definitely get some of this stuff from my parents for sure. And the New York background, and you come from New York, you got to be tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a tough place to grow up, like there's definitely something to growing up in winter. And you've got to get through a New York winter like that. There's a reason why Russians are gnarly. There's a reason why people from Boston are gnarly. There's a reason why people from New York are gnarly. Like if you have to walk through snow or like shovel snow in the morning just to get to school as a kid, like if you're going through those kind of things, there's definitely something that kind of percolates inside that I think lends itself to being that fighting kind of spirit guy,
100%. I think, for me growing up, we didn't come from much or have like a lot of money or stuff like that. So I always had to work really hard. And yeah, growing up in the snow was always gnarly. I remember being a little kid, I had a wheelbarrow, and we lived on like these gravel roads, and I'd throw my shovel in there and go to house to house, like trying to shovel people's driveways. Like I just loved like that kind of work ethic. And first, but I had a Z50, and like I would ride we had this yard and it had levels that dropped down, and I'd have these circle tracks in each one of them, and I would come home from school and I don't know what it was, but that's all I want to do is ride, and I'd literally do circles like for hours. I'd stop, get the rake out, like rake it, water it, and I'm talking like 7, 8 years old, like just like not hanging out with kids, just literally just so focused on doing circles on a Z50 in the yard. And I remember my dad was always working, so I went in the basement and got a drill and found some studs and like studded the tires, and I was so stoked. I went out down the road in the ice and was sending it, and of course, like obviously studs are going to go through the tire, so flat instantly. So I was like devastated about that, but I always just wanted to ride. Like that was it. Like, I mean, I think that's why we do this, is because we love riding. And for me growing up, that's all I wanted to do, is just ride motorcycles 24/7.
Do you ever think now, because I mean, it's probably essentially the reason I started this podcast, is I just really don't know why the fuck I love this so much. but dude, like every, when I was a kid, it was the same thing. It was just like every single chance I got to ride, like I'd do all the chores in the house and load the bikes up in the trailer so that as soon as Dad got home, he could actually take us riding. But I just like, it's such a weird thing to be a kid, right? And to be so obsessed with something that just like you said, no one else is doing it. Like, what is the thing between you and the bike?
It's a sickness, I think, for sure. Like, it's, yeah, if you tell someone about riding, or they just don't get it, they won't understand it. And like, I still have that for sure. I still, want to ride all the time. And, me and Amber have been talking about it, and now we have, our son here. So it's like, it's a hard one. It's like, I own I have my training facility, Bamland or whatever. And like, it's like, yeah, how is this little guy not gonna want to ride dirt bikes? Like that, it's scary. I could see how my parents probably were scared, because you don't want to see your own like get hurt, or it's like a dangerous sport. So, but it's at the same time, like if my parents told me I couldn't ride when I was younger, I would have been devastated. So it's one of them things where we're like, we'll figure it out. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. But yeah, I would rather him play like golf or, basketball, football, soccer, something like that. But, this sport has given me well beyond anything I could ever imagine. Like I said, we came from New York, this little house, and moved down to Georgia, MTF, lived in a camper forever, and now like I could afford nice things and have a nice house and take care of my family. And it's this sport's awesome. And just motorcycles in general, like obviously too, the hard thing about supercross, motocross, we have to be so fit, train so much, so like I see so much more to the sport. Like for me, when I'm done racing, like I see you're doing stuff like going off-road riding and doing stuff like that, and also like I love bicycles. Like that's a big passion of mine too. So there's like, when I do retire, there's just so much like opportunities I feel like that I want to like explore and check out. So it'll be, and obviously my son will be getting older too, so it'll be just cool to do stuff with him and see what the future brings. But motorcycles definitely just can bring you anywhere and bring people together. It's badass.
I love hearing that you're one of the guys that likes riding, because nothing breaks my heart more than just seeing a guy that, they win a bunch of races and then they retire and then they're just like, cool, I'm done. I don't want to ride anymore. Like, fuck bikes, whatever. And I'm just like, oh man, it just sucks that it hurt you like that. And it left that like emotional scar, because we just got into this for such pure reasons, like it just, if you take it all away, then and it was just you and the bike, like it'd be so hard for that relationship to really go sour.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been through that though. Like my last year at JGR, when we went Suzuki, I was done. I was gonna just call it quits. I was just so I was through the ringer, just like these ups and downs, these so many injuries, and I lost the love for the sport. I was just training and riding, but it just wasn't fun. So I took some time off, actually went over to the UK, spent time with Amber and met all her friends, and just had such a good time. Actually got a bike and rode like a day or something, and that's the first time I ever put on some weight because I just was doing nothing. Like that was wild. I was just like doing absolutely nothing, just eating everything in sight. And then my buddy Tim, he owns a suspension company back in Michigan, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, I'm in the UK, just hanging out, chilling. And he's like, "Well, do you want to race the Monster Cup?" And I was like, "Well, sounds cool, but like, I don't have a bike or haven't been doing anything." He's like, "Well, let's figure it out." So we got hooked up with Morgantown Power Sports. They hooked me up with a Honda, and I just practiced on that thing at MTF for a bit. And that bike took a beating. It was stock. I ragged it out for a couple weeks, like 2-3 weeks. And and we put Tim and his wife Heather and me, we just put this program together, and we went and raced the Monster Cup. And it was actually crazy because we flew out. Well, no, Tim drove out to California. I flew out. We went to actually Hemet. It was like so backyard, this track. It was wild. It was before the new owner has it now as well, so it was really backyard. And we're testing with Twisted, getting the engine. The engine was so fast, it was insane. Probably the fastest bike. I actually crashed on the start Monster Cup because the bike was so fast.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no, dude. It was that elevated start and went down, and it lit up on the
on
metal.
the ply and then hooked up on the dirt.
Yeah, and I cartwheeled down the hill. It was on the press day. It was bad, and I destroyed the bike, and I had to go to Honda and like beg for parts. It was pretty hilarious. But yeah, it was crazy. But anyways, go back a little bit. Yeah, we were testing one day in California before Monster Cup, and I get this phone call, and it's Keith McCarty, and he's like, "Hey, Millsaps just got hurt. Will you race the Monster Cup before us?" And this was literally like 2 days before the Monster Cup, and I was like, "Man, this could be career changing for me." Like to get, a door just opened. I thought I was retiring and done, and now Keith McCarty calls me, and I literally had to, like, on the spot, something clicked in my head, and I was like, "Listen, man, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, but I just can't do it. It's not possible. Like, I put together this huge program, and I just can't do it. I hope you understand, and please, like, let me know if this opportunity is available after the Monster Cup." And so that was quite scary, honestly, because turning down, factory Yamaha, dude, that was like, to me, like, yeah, that's huge. So anyways, we went and raced, and we were the best Japanese bike. Like, we were battling, and I was out of shape, and it was actually, but I had fun. That was the biggest thing. I had fun racing, and I had key sponsors that stayed with me: Alpine Stars, Arai, Scott. They backed me huge for that, and it was just a good feeling doing it, kind of like out of a pickup truck feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun. And yeah, then that's kind of how the door opened again. Keith, we worked out. I stayed in California. I went and tested with him a bit, and yeah, just I was at Yamaha for a couple of years then. So that was it's crazy how things work. The doors can open when they're closing.
Yeah, man. And that's what I think is so impressive about your career. It's the same like Christian Craig. He come and did this last week. And I mean, he's another dude. Like, he was done, like, literally done. Like, 2 years away from the sport completely. And then to come back and then to win a West Coast Lites title and get a 450 ride, like, the way the careers are happening nowadays, it's so different to how it used to be in the past. It was like, if you were done, you were done. Like once it was over, there's no coming back. But it seems like a few guys have been able to kind of like come back better in almost like the second half of their career. Like, if you think of, I mean, Yamaha was a little bit of a struggle, but it's like, as soon as you get on this gas, I mean, it's like, dude, you might be like as good as you've ever been, and we're just so not used to seeing that. And I mean, dude, 3 of you guys on the podium this weekend, all dads. Like, we didn't see that when James, Ricky, and Chad were racing, No,
the times have definitely changed. Yeah, 3 dads on the podium. That's wild. Yeah, because it's usually like, man, it's a young man's sport, or it was anyway, and it seems like the times are changing for sure. And it's quite cool because, you know, I do feel like you just said, like, I think I'm at the best riding and the best mental game of my career, and I know what I want, and I'm comfortable, and I'm not scared to like stand up for myself, and, you know, and work with the team, and I have a good team behind me. And I feel like gas, man, that was like a blessing, because like I just needed this fresh start, and it opened up, and TK believed in me for sure. And you know, to get back with Red Bull and a new brand, it's like, it's unreal, really. It's been awesome. And yeah, definitely I feel like, you know, obviously, like I said recently in a couple interviews, I'm on my contract year, but I believe I'm going to continue with them for a couple more years and hopefully do stuff with them after. So that'll be pretty rad to build this relationship with the brand. And I feel like I'm a pretty good fit for the brand. Like, it's always, we always say we're the fun team and like the kind of bam stuff. So it's been fun. And they actually, you know, I know you always get stoked on my BAM TV stuff, which I get stoked that you get stoked on it, because I get stoked on your stuff. So like they're like, they're always like, they love the BAM TV. They actually like help us out with it and stuff and get Jack to races. So it's just, man, it's just a mint fit.
Yeah, I mean, that's like literally what it is. It's just the perfect fit. It's like the brand that needed the rider, and the rider that needed the brand, essentially. You know, like you needed to go to a place that was going to let you be you, and then they needed a rider that was going to be able to kind of like deliver the messaging that they wanted to, you know, get delivered. And man, I just think, like, imagine if you retired and we never got to see BAM TV. I feel like we had Bam Bam the nickname, but we never got to see Bam Bam the person. And I feel like dude, episode 1 of BAM TV was just like you literally dropping the mic and being like, righto people, this is who I am. If you don't like it, eat a dick.
Literally, yeah. It's if the BAM TV stuff wouldn't happen, that would have been quite sad, because no one would have ever known like my personality probably and how I am. So yeah, it was me and Jack were always wanting to do it for years and years and years, but I was always in these tough positions or at these teams that I was just struggling with. So there was never a good opportunity. We were always filming, messing around, but then when the gas and it all came together, we were like, all right, let's do it. And yeah, it's not hard to do. Like, Jack's really good at filming and obviously really good at editing. So it's just like, and we're friends, so I can just be myself. And obviously he's not going to like put in something in there to like hurt or jeopardize like my career. So I can trust him and just be myself and have a good time with it.
Yeah, dude, it's like, I mean, Jack's a whole nother conversation. Like, I just think that we've also, like, you brought to the sport, and not just the sport, but like you gave Jack a platform to showcase like his abilities, and like that, like what he does is like, that's what I've spent the last 15 years doing. So like the respect I have for him, like he's fucking good, man. Like really good. Like as he's top level. And I mean, you gave him that chance, and then to see what he did with Ricardo, like he has a crazy career ahead of him, man.
100%. Jack is, he doesn't know, I don't think. Like, I mean, hopefully he knows, but he like, or just like for me, like, or anybody that's really good at something, like you don't really give yourself enough credit a lot of the times. And the way Jack can catch stuff on his camera and then edit it, and like went and worked with Daniel a little, and like, for me, if I couldn't, so like we talk about it, I couldn't do BAM TV without Jack, and he couldn't do it without me. So it's like, you know, it was just a perfect fit. And like I said, we go way back. Like, you know, his dad's legend of a surgeon in Tallahassee, works on every racer. So his dad's done tons of surgery on me. I always go by their house, go bicycle riding with them. And so we've just known each other forever. And like, it's just come full circle. And like, even me and Jack, we've spent so much time together. Like, I've rented an excavator and he helped me build my outdoor track one year. Like, we just do stupid stuff. It's great.
That's cool, man. And I thought, like, I think about that with Jack too, with knowing that his dad is that kind of like he's a well-known surgeon. It's probably a lot of pressure being his son to like, I don't know, like succeed, you know what I mean? Like there's probably a lot of pressure from his family, or there was at one point, to like, well, you could be a doctor, like you could be a surgeon. And then, I know from me, until you're fully killing it, people look at you with a camera and think like, fuck you doing, bro? Like you're vlogging for your mates. So it's like, for him to kind of go all in and back himself the way that he has, and to produce the results that he has, like, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's gnarly what he's done. And yeah, I think he deserves like a lot of props and credit, because yeah, he is killing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he definitely, like, he went to college at FSU and was pursuing that career, probably to be a doctor or something, and he just wasn't feeling it, and he got a camera, started filming MTF coming out to my track. And I remember the first time he came out, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, just with this like janky camera, and now, like, look at him now, crushing it, working for major bicycle brands, and like, yeah, it's unreal. Jack's, yeah, legend.
Nah, that's cool. So did you have in your, like, because for me it's like, we've had the coolest rider in the sport, or like one of the coolest guys to come along in the sport is like this 2020 onwards Justin Barcia, and it's like, that guy was always there. Like, you've always been that dude, but you just never showed that to the industry, or that was never outwards facing. I mean, what was the reasons for never showing that? And then what was the reasons for finally just being like, fuck it? Or, like, where was your thought process on that? Because like I said, if you retired, we just don't get to know this dude. And I think it's like there's a legacy that you'll leave behind in this sport. And I think as well, like, the BAM TV kind of connects all the dots in a sense. It's like, so if you never release BAM TV and we don't get to see this side of you, then it's like your entire Lites career, all of it, it's like kind of unanswered in a sense. But as soon as BAM TV gets released, it's like, oh, this all makes sense now.
Oh man, I wish someone was filming all the stupid things I've done. Like, when I left MTF, I was like, it was crazy. When I left MTF, I went across the street to GPF, did it like a half year there, and we were looking for a piece of property. And I was still living with my parents, so found a piece of property, had Dream Tracks come and build a Supercross track, and I lived out there in my motorhome, and just was like sending it as in, like, I never drank or partied or did any of that kind of stuff. I was just all like like riding 4-wheelers on the property, like working on the tracks, like airsoft wars, like just such stupid stuff that if we had videos of some of this stuff, it would make some of the most unreal things. And I'm sure a lot of people say that, but man, it was crazy. And even Levi Kilberger was a really good buddy of mine. His dad bought Honda of Troy. Like, that team was done forever. So they took it over or whatever. And like the second year I had the property, they based the team out of my track. And the story is like, it was so crazy. They would have their semi there and mechanics. Like, so the team leader was Justin Shanty, which is Cincerella's mechanic now. So I always see Shanty at the races, and we always like have these funny jokes and stuff, and we used to do just like such silly stuff. I used to get on top of their semi and like and I always was getting naked and stuff, like just stupid, like, that Danny Duncan on YouTube, his stuff. Yeah. I think his stuff's so funny, and I kind of feel like he's like me, but I'm like, have to be like kind of more professional, unfortunately.
So you've just had full blown ADD your entire life, essentially. That's what you're saying. Yeah, just loose cannon ADD, and how we made the decision to do this finally was. I just feel like why we didn't do it sooner was just because I almost like one of those things where I wasn't really, almost like you're not comfortable like with yourself maybe, or don't want to like show people that your true thing. Like, you're supposed to be, I don't know, in this sport, it seems like you're supposed to be this like white collar kind of guy, and like kind of like
nothing wrong with Dungey or anything like that, but you're supposed to be like kind of like him, like super serious and just win races, and that's how I felt. But then finally I was just like, whatever, I'm happy with the place I'm at in life and the new team, and Jack was in the position where he could, you know, he had enough like built up in money where he could come and do some work where I, you know, didn't have to pay him yet or whatever like that, and we just like swung the bat, and it was kind of like a home run. It worked out good, and now we're actually able to do it. Yeah, we don't make money off it or whatever, but you know, Jack's able to do it and get more jobs and open new opportunities and stuff like that. So yeah, it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad that you did it. I'm so glad I mean, I'm sure everyone's so glad that you did it as well, because you're right. Like, it just, you know, I think that, and I feel like I've probably spoken about it before, but it takes like there's like a circle, right? And it's like, this is what's acceptable. And then that's like, you could call this like cool, normal. And then it just takes like someone stepping outside the circle a little bit that's respected enough and then has enough conviction to like not jump back in the circle, you know? So it's like,
yeah,
then all of a sudden you start to get, it's like you give people a license to do that themselves, or take it as far as you're taking it. And I think about people like Cher and Madonna. Like, as crazy as that sounds, like, you know, when I was growing up, when I was like really young, there was like, Madonna was shocking to people, you know? And now you look at all of the pop stars that followed along Madonna, and you get like the Christina Aguileras and blah, 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 like weird reference, but it's like, it takes a chick to step outside of that circle. And so I think that when you do it, and you're this guy that's like, he's won titles, won 450 main events, like motocross and like the credentials are there. You're not just some dude that can't ride and is trying to like be funny because you can't get results. So it's like, you take a leap to go outside of the circle, and then it's like you're laying the foundation for other guys in the sport to do it, you know? And that's why, same thing with Ando, you know, like, he's a guy that, same deal, like, he's got his own style completely. Like, he's like, Jason Anderson could easily be one of those like core street BMX riders. You know what I mean? That just like doesn't give a fuck, sends the gnarliest shit, like films everything on old cameras. Like, he could totally be a different dude, or like a surfer, like a Sonny Garcia gnarly surf guy. Like, he just runs his own program. So it's like, same deal with him. He starts Team Fried, and it's like, steps out of the circle. The more of you guys that are kind of doing that, like, you just, what you're doing right now is like, you're paving the way for the next generation to come out and be themselves and give us that personality, and give people, you know, someone to follow and someone to love and someone to like really care whether you win or lose. And even with like the aggressive riding shit, it's like, there's people out there that will tune in and like hope you don't do good, but it's like, that's like people tuning in to Mayweather to watch him lose. Like, I've been that guy a bunch of times. Doesn't mean I don't like Mayweather or don't, you know, respect what he does. Like, I'm tuning in to watch what he's doing. So it's like, I just think it's so much more important to me anyway than what it might look like on face value. It's not a YouTube video. Like, it actually means something culturally for our sport.
100%. It's cool, and I never really looked at it that way, but it's definitely, you know, looking at it that way now, it's pretty cool. And yeah, hopefully, like, even like, you know, Jet, he has, like, I don't know Jet very well at all, but he obviously insane rider, but his personality seems like, what I see, like little clips sometimes and stuff, seems really funny, and he like does the donut stuff. And so I feel like once he, you know, because he's not doing like the YouTube and really showing it too much yet, once hopefully he does that eventually, it'll you know, hopefully does it sooner or later, it'll just explode. It'll be sick. So I think there's hopefully a lot of riders coming up that will just be themselves and show their personality and have fun, because a lot of us have just kind of had our hands tied and didn't want to do that. So yeah, hopefully now with a lot of us showing our personalities, it'll open those doors. That'll be good for the sport. It's just makes it more fun. And you know, they always, like, even when we do like Supercross intros, motocross intros, they're like trying to show your personality, but it's staged, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
this is kind of lame. And now, you know, they're wanting that, but we're able to, do it for ourselves and show people what we're actually like. Because on Supercross, you get to watch, 20 minutes race. You don't get to see personality. You just get to see bar banging Supercross race in action.
Yeah. Were you self-conscious before you put the first one out? Like, were you worried the way that it would be received? Like, was it a nervous kind of like post your first video? Like, all right, let's see what happens.
No, it was like what is acceptable and not acceptable, because I take it. So what, like you see now, that's like a 5. There's a 10. So like we're like, so like what can we do without having like, gas of the team come to us and go like, dude, like you can't do that. So there's we before the videos come out, and Jack will he'll send it to us beforehand, and we'll be like, mate, like think that parts can't go in, like, so it's stuff like that. Or then it's good too as well, because we'll send it to TK, and TK will be like, no, that's cool, that's all right. Like, so no, I wasn't worried, because I thought I hate watching myself or hearing my voice, so I don't even I watch them obviously, but I'm just like, I don't like hearing my voice or watching myself. Like, obviously watching myself ride or whatever, yeah, but yeah, so I'm not that, I'm not self-conscious about it, but I just don't like hearing myself talk.
No, that's fair. I don't listen to any of the podcast either, so you're not alone in that. I get so bummed when it's a good one, like when everyone was so pumped on the Steve Astafin one, and I was getting so many messages, and then I was like, fuck, maybe I need to listen to it, and then I started it, and I heard the intro, and I was like, I ain't fucking doing this.
Yeah, it's hard to, I don't know. Some people can do it, but yeah, I'm not one of them. But yeah, it's good. You have such a mix of people. That's what's really good about the show. Like, yeah, getting Steve on here, he has such a different perspective of racing compared to a racer, just racers. So yeah, getting different people on and different sports, and yeah, it's super rad.
No, I appreciate that, bro. I think one of the best things as well with the BAM TV stuff, I mean, I know it's not where you're at right now and what you're thinking about right now, but you just made a brand, like you can go and do that anywhere. And it was cool to hear you say before that you want to go do trips and you want to go do, different things once you're done. Like, dude, just even the mountain biking trips that you could do, like imagine going into, you go into Whistler or BC and you're like riding that bike park, and then it's like literally trying to find a dope motocross track on Instagram, and it's like the flood of private insane tracks in Canada that would get thrown at you, and then it's like moto in the morning, mountain bike in the afternoon, and filming it, and when you're retired and you can even be a bit more loose than you are now, like, bro, people are gonna you be 37, 38, 30, 40, who gives a fuck? Like, people are still gonna want to watch you ride a mountain bike and a dirt bike, and and even the mountain biking stuff, like, it's crazy the amount of people that, like, that's a way bigger industry than moto even.
Yeah, it's huge. But yeah, definitely BAM TV now that it's kind of, we've built a little bit. It's not even big at all. Like, we get some good views here and there or whatever, but it's just going to explode when I retire, because there's going to be zero filter. Like, it's just going to be so silly, and I'm just going to do whatever, and we're going to be older and having fun with it. But yeah, I don't know why I'm so passionate about bicycles, but obviously I think one thing about, I've started bicycles training, and then I had a trainer that, raced in the Tour de France, and like, I've just been around the bicycle stuff, and now I have personal sponsors and relationships in the bicycle industry. So like, I ride for Cannondale, and pretty much my biggest sponsor is Zip. So Zip makes like carbon fiber, like in the US, older, it's like sick wheels and handlebars and stuff like that. So it's like they do insane stuff, and they're owned by SRAM. So SRAM makes like all the components, and so yeah, they're huge, massive. But I don't know, like, I'm just super passionate about bicycles. I love fitness, but I like the fun side of it as well. So I like cyclocross. I don't know if you know cyclocross or not. It's kind of like they race bicycles like, yeah, like in a park or like all over Europe and stuff. So and then I'm obviously Amber's from the UK, so I'm like, I can do that when I retire. And I like mountain biking. I like these endurance races, like, and I have these opportunities now to do this stuff. But our series is so long, so there's no chance. Like, when no, you can't do it. So definitely excited about the bicycle stuff in the future, and obviously like building my relationship back up with Red Bull because I wasn't with them for so long. So I hope like in the future, hopefully I can do some cool stuff like kind of what Sipes was doing, and like just random stuff on a bike and just riding, you know, not even and I like that's why I'm super. I love racing as well, so I'll have to keep racing in some sort of way. And I don't anything with the engine. I like cars. Anything. It's crazy. I just love it all. But there's I don't know when
Life's
I retire,
good.
it's gonna be
Life's good.
yeah. Like honestly, like we have a. Yeah, life is actually really good. It's sick.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I spend so much of my time thinking about what the most fucked up thing I could do on a bike is, like in terms of a trip or a race. Like, I just feel like I need 2 or 3 things a year that I'm doing that is like way over my head, completely unprepared for, but just like in it, you know? And like, I always think about the analogy of like a roller coaster. Like, it's like tick, 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 and you like go on, you're clicking your way up, and then once you drop off, like once you're on that ride, you're on that ride. You ain't getting off. So it's like some of the trips we do, it's like you get day one in, and it's like you're just not going home. You've got 2 more weeks of wet boots, wet socks, stinky riding gear. Like, you're gonna have no rear tire by the end of it. You're probably gonna cartwheel a few times. Like 4 or 5 bikes won't make it. That to me, like, I don't know why that shit just makes me so happy.
No, I agree 100%. And it's just like, for instance, what's that race where they go? It's so insane. It's like a week long, and it's the Red Bull event, and they go up those crazy rock hills. Like
Erzberg?
something with Erzberg. Like, I don't know. Like, I just see that, and I'm just like, gosh, it sounds so stupid, but I'm like, I'd love to do that because I don't know. I think it's something that, like in us, like a lot of us anyway, where we're just like sick and we just want to suffer. But it's also like that challenge. So will I ever do that race? Who knows? But it would be quite fun. And I don't know. I love trail riding. I have a good story actually about that. When I was on, this is funny. You'll like this. When I was at Geico, we did a boot camp at Laraco's house, which was like 10 minutes down the road from Redbud. It was like me, Eli, Will Hahn, Bogle. There's a couple other guys. But Mike had us doing all this kind of crazy stuff, and the engines were quite finicky back then, so like we blew up a ton of bikes. So like Mike had like this enduro bike, and we were doing these like time trials through the woods, and I got on this 450X because my bike was broken. Will told me the story the other day. They were sitting there waiting for me, and all I could hear is like trees crashing down and like a headlight and the horn honking wide open, and I just come like bashing through the trees like crazy. I don't know. You'd have to be there in person. It was probably awesome. I can remember it a little bit, but that was one of those trips that it was so. Oh, it was like an off weekend, and we did this boot camp, and we were all so smoked. And there was this gentleman, we called him the water boy. He was giving us this alkaline water, and we were all shitting ourselves. We were like Laraco's so gnarly, so we were all like overtrained. And like now I think about it, and I was like, those are the days, man. We hated it at the time, but those were the days.
Dude, that's so good. I can just imagine a 450X just being like, just
because the throttle limiter on those are like probably like 2,000 RPM, so it's like a soft limiter. So I was just so like horny on it, like just like. It was great. We broke poor Laraco. We broke everything. He had 2 trials bikes. We broke those. The XR70s. Like. We destroyed everything he gave us. He's probably like, wow, this idiot's ruined everything I own.
Dude, that's so good. We do this race. There's a series here called Transmoto, and it's basically like you get a 2-man, 3-man, or 4-man team, and then it's either 6, 8, or 12 hours. And so it's always like half motocross or like half natural terrain grass track, and then half of it's just pegged up through the woods, and then they mark it out. And dude, they're just the most fucking fun events in the world, eh? Like when you get the track good, it's just like that's why people get so addicted to surfing, is because it's just not good all the time. So like a really good day is just as rare as rocking horse shit. And like we've got some of those days, dude, at those transmotos where the track is like porn, dude. And like ruts that
So
are just like
sick.
folding up over themselves, and you can't even hit the rut unless you're like fully leaned. And just to spend 6 hours riding with your mates, and then like everyone's you smoked. Like I couldn't even load my bike last time we did it because I ended up doing like a bunch of just extra laps without the transponder because the track was so good. And it's
So
like, I
sick,
don't know,
yeah.
man. Those days, like, you just can't beat that. You're not in your head at all the entire day.
No, you don't even think about anything. You're just riding, having fun. Actually, I have a buddy. His dad owns a big RV company. That's who I got my RV from, that I bought it from. And he does this. He did this event this year. I've never seen the event. It's like up in like New Hampshire. That's where they're from. And I saw Jimmy D was up there, and it's like they were like doing like canoeing and like the sickest, like up there up the north they have the sickest tracks, like, and I was like, dude, they do it once a year, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be there when I retire, because that looks so, like doing stupid fun riding stuff like that, like, oh, it looked so good. Like even like racing a canoe, like what, in your gear, but it looked just like so much fun.
Dude, I'm excited for you to do Erzberg. If you ever do that race, I'll come and do it with you. Because I think there's categories where there's like the gold category, which is like the hardest one, and then I think there's like a C class kind of deal. So yeah, I'll definitely get like a 300 two-stroke and and just come and fucking cartwheel it down some rocks with you.
It'll be sick. I'm gonna hold you to that for sure. Hopefully we can get Red Bull to get us the inside scoop on that one day.
Dude, definitely. Have you ever watched like the like Western Beach Race and those beach races and shit like that?
Yeah, all those. I'm telling you, anything racing I'm into. Like, I don't really watch too many like sports. Like, I'm not that into like football or anything like that. But anything cars, motorcycles, racing in general, and yeah, those, like, what was that last Red Bull event they just did? That was kind of like on the beach, but they like some like the guy hit.
Oh, was
the,
that Travis's thing?
Yeah, I don't know. He did like a
it was like a
backflip
Nitro
into the
Circus
water.
thing.
Yeah, maybe, probably, but like that, all that kind of stuff just gets me so like frisky. I'm like, this looks like a good time. And I'm like kind of like thinking, and Amber would be so bummed, but I'm like, oh, I could build something like that in the backyard for the Stasics for the boy. Like he could like do this little. He's like, I'm like, he's gonna have some fun if he wants to have fun, but also if he wants to like read books, that's cool too, I guess.
That's so funny. Yeah, you're like you're a lot like Jack Miller. He is just same deal where it's like, you're farm boy, how many bikes can I ride and fuck in one day? Like you'll go to Jack's place. He's like MotoGP in season, and he'll ride like a KTM 450, a 252 stroke, a 125, and then he'll ride like an 03 125 that I tried to ride, and we're like on his arena cross track, and I'm like, zero chance, like I'm fucking not gonna ride that. And then he's like hitting the triple on it and shit. I'm just like, bro, there's something here is like not okay with what you've got going on right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like Daniel. He's the highest level in F1, and he likes to do crazy stuff. You got Jack. He likes to do that crazy stuff in MotoGP guy. And then you have me, the motocross stuff. And then, like, for instance, even, like, I went to a gas launch, and it was every dealership in the U.S., Canada, and they had like a ride day. It was like Reach track up there in North Carolina, and they had every bike, and I just was like hitting every bike. Like, I think I was supposed to be like in a tent hanging out, like talking autographs, and I just like couldn't. I just kept riding the bikes, like 125, 250. Like, oh, it was such a good time. But yeah, we just something in our blood. We just love it, and we probably shouldn't like do this crazy stuff sometimes. But obviously, when it comes time to go racing and in season and do this stuff, we just have that switch and get it done.
Yeah. What have you got any mountain bike races that's on your bucket list, or like what? So cycling, like what cycling what gets you the most horny when it comes to bicycle stuff?
Man, I really like the cyclocross stuff, and I think it's kind of, and the reason I really think I like it is because it would fit my type of like endurance really well. It's like not a super long race, and so it's intensity, and you go off a start and you have these little jumps and tight corners, and like you're allowed to kind of smash into each other and stuff because there's like really like sharp corners and yeah. So that I did one when I was at JGR in North Carolina, and I was only able to do one, and I was actually sick, but it was so much fun. Like I just had the best time. So the cyclocross definitely gets me excited, and it's so huge in Europe. Like there's a big scene to it. They just like finished the world championships or something. I was watching those guys. Like the one guy I really like on the bicycles is Tom Pitcock. He's like this kid that's like insane on a bicycle. He raced the Tour de France, but like he could be the winner of the Tour de France for sure, but he does everything. He races everything. His skills on mountain bike are insane. Road bikes, like he could be the Tour de France winner for sure, and maybe he will be because he's on a badass team, but they just let him race everything. He's from the UK. I've never met him. I don't know him, but he seems like just a legend.
Yeah, dude, that's so gnarly. Like to be like a multi-disciplined dude in mountain biking would be so gnarly, man. Like one of my buddies, Jack Moyer, he was racing downhill for like he was doing all the World Cup downhill stuff, right? Loses his ride, and then that last seat on the table is the Enduro World Cup. Goes out, wins it.
Yeah,
now he's just like the man. He's like had this whole nother career.
Yeah, when you have talent, you can just and then if something connects and you believe in yourself, you could go do this on your own. Like it's sick. Like I have a buddy after Anaheim, actually, my buddy Mitch. He rides for Cannondale. He does downhill stuff, and like it was watching this dude on a bicycle, like the stuff he was hitting and doing. I was just like I'm okay on a mountain bike, but this was just like mind blowing. Like the skill level he had, like the stuff he was jumping and going down. I was just like, those guys are unbelievable.
Is that the dude that you went riding with after A1 and it was in the video?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he rips. Yeah, he rips.
Yeah, no, and that was like nothing. Like he was just playing around. Like he does, the skill levels these guys have, and that's what's cool about being with these brands that are other than motorcycles. I get to meet so many cool people and like build these new relationships and friendships. And like when I'm done, like we were actually talking about it after he left. He's like, dude, I have these sick races you would really like to do. We could do them, and so yeah, it's sick.
Man, I actually racing BMX and downhill mountain bikes. That's what I actually did before motocross. Like, cause I just wasn't allowed to have a dirt bike for the longest time. And my uncle actually in the 90s, he built all of the UCI downhill tracks. So I kind of like had this, like mountain bikes was like the thing. And man, the how far bikes have come in the last 20 odd years. I think that's another thing that's really exploded the sport, because like the shit that you can do now on like a 150 enduro bike, like that's not 150 is like not even really enduro these days, but like a 150 mil travel bike, holy fuck, you can send those things, man. But like when I was a kid, we were breaking frames almost every time that you did a race.
Yeah, the bicycles are insane now. How it's a little bit scary how light they are, and the stuff you can do on them. Like are these actually that strong? But they are. But like for even today, like today obviously is like, we race San Diego. Today's a chill day, and like I do a bike ride in the morning, and I had to take Amber to do something. I got Sonny with me, and I'm like, I just got this brand new mountain bike frame. It's a hardtail, and like, with COVID still, like they're still recovering from parts, like to try to get stuff. So I found this bicycle shop, and I took him with me, and like I was in the bike shop. I bought, and I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna like, I'm not like a mooch. Like I don't, like I can get free stuff from my sponsors, but like if they don't have it or whatever, I like went to this bicycle shop and like support the sport. Like that's what Jack, I sent the picture to Jack, and he's like, man, you got that fork quick. And I said, yeah, I just went and bought it. Like I just love dirt bikes, bicycles, and like I can take my kid to a bicycle shop, and like It's crazy having a kid now though. Like going like being alone with him and going places is pretty surreal. That was like, it was cool today. I was like just pushing him around and like he's just like chilling and I'm in a bicycle shop buying parts. It's special.
That's just straight up dad life right there. Like being pumped on taking your kid to buy bike parts. That's like as fucking G as it gets.
No, literally, I don't know. That's just how I am. It's cool though. Yeah, I was like super stoked. Like, yeah, I think I dropped Amber because when we're in California, just get a rental car. Like I got a Tesla rental car from Hertz, and it's probably a mistake because I've been driving around all day and not like following the battery. And like I told you, I got here and it's at 6%, and there's like not a charger that nearby. So I'm like,
no.
this whole time, mate, I'm thinking of like I'm probably gonna have to call AAA and get a tow to like a charger.
Oh, dude, that's so fucked.
It is. Good stuff.
I feel like there's probably a real art to owning a Tesla and like knowing where to go and that whole deal, you know. I feel like renting a Tesla is probably not the move.
No, it's not the move at all, and it's not for me. Like some guy was like commenting on my Instagram because it was like we were at the track and in a Tesla, and he's like, "Oh, Tesla's sick," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd rather have an iPad and a Prius." Like, it's just like having to like, it's cool, it's good, like maybe for the environment and stuff, like that's rad, but like we love motorcycles and stuff and we blow smoke everywhere, like that's not our thing really. But I was like, oh, Tesla, like I see all the young kids now like getting Teslas and stuff in the sport. You can see the sport changing and they're like, oh, Teslas, and I was like, I kind of want to still feel young, like get a Tesla. And no, it's not the move for me. And even the bad thing is Jack, you know, obviously Jack films everything. And I think you might have seen on the last video, like me making fun of Teslas. And then Jack saw me in a Tesla and he's like, dude,
yeah,
you were just bashing all these guys. What's going on? I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Dude, it's so funny. The electric thing's going to be cool though when it gets to bikes. Like obviously not who you're sponsored by, but like, dude, the Stark is just like a mind-blowing thing for just not even like the performance or whatever, but just the fact that we're going to have an electric dirt bike that like people are just going to be able to ride in the craziest places, dude. Like, I honestly think the electric side of the sport is just going to blow it up deluxe. Like, people are never going to let go of like the gas powered engines. But yeah, as far as like, dude, give me the electric dirt bike all day long.
Yeah, like even when Kenny did that thing before the season, riding all the bikes and did that road to electric bike, that was like, and Kenny's really smooth, so it just looked like butter on a track. It was like, that's sick. But yeah, honestly, obviously, like it's gonna be difficult for him for sure, and I'm sure they're seeing that, and it's hard. And like the first, you know, that, what was it, the Ultra or whatever, honestly they didn't make it, which was a bummer because that looked like a pretty cool thing. And so hopefully these guys can make something happen, and then, you know, it's just one person has to start something and then all the other companies will follow hopefully. But it'll definitely be, yeah, it'll be nuts. Dude,
like the amount that you love riding, like you getting a gas like electric bike is the froth level that you'll have on that thing. Well, that'll actually be some scary content that you'd be able to make.
Yeah, and then you could put a mic on and still probably hear us, that would be insane.
For sure, man.
That'd be crazy. But like, for instance, even, you know, the Gas has those little E50s, and obviously Troy Lee's like living legend. He has a track in his yard in Laguna on top. It's called Top of the World, and it's insane. Like he threw like a little party, and I was just spinning laps with the kids. It was like, that's probably one of the most fun times I've had riding a bike. And we're talking about a mini E50. So imagine a full grown human size electric bike. Yeah, it'd be sick.
With 80 horsepower.
Scary.
Like, ridiculous, dude. Before, when you were talking about walking into the mountain bike shop with Sonny, and it's just like you and him and you buying parts, it's like, that is just the simple life, you know. And there's probably like, so I remember I was just by happenstance sitting in the office of Jared from J-Star when you called about returning a Lambo.
Oh, like, gosh, dude, that was... Oh, that's a story there. Yeah, that was stupid. That was so stupid.
Like,
yeah.
so
That's a good. Yeah.
So to talk about like the change of human from like just wanting to go in to buy, you know, mountain bike parts with your son to a kid that was returning a fucking Lamborghini. Like there's a pretty big change there.
Yeah, that was so funny. I remember, I think I won my first championship, and me and my mom were out in California. And I was like, just Jared's obviously like famous out here. Like that's his J Stars is sick. So I went in there, and he's so rad. He still takes care of the car, like helps us like service cars and stuff. And I was always actually scared to go back there because I felt so bad about the situation. And it wasn't, I'm sure like it was not a situation at all for him, because I'm sure the things he sees is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went in there, test drove a whole bunch of cars, and then I was like, yeah, I want this one, and like left down payment or whatever, and then they were gonna ship to Florida. And like a couple hours later, like I think we talked to someone from the team and like Geico, and they were like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this. Like, it's just not smart, and da-da-da. So yeah, everyone panicked. So then we had to call and tell them like, hey, sorry, like we can't take the call. I felt so bad. So I never went and like seen Jared forever. And now obviously I see him. We're cool, but I was so scared and it was so stupid. But yeah, actually after that though, like I probably waited like 5, 6, 7 years until I got some cool cars. And I don't have any cool cars anymore, really, just because I learned my lessons on cool cars. You have these, like I had a whole bunch of cool cars in my garage, and you get to drive them like 2-3 times a year, and they just sit there, and then you sell them and you lose $1 zillion. So cool cars are cool, but you're better off, like, I think like maybe Jet has to deal with Jared and he can just drive some cars. I see, like, I'm like, that's sick and that's smart, and like Myrtle is smart, so he probably knows like, don't buy expensive car, you idiot. Like I wish someone would have told me that, but it's okay, live and you learn.
Yeah, dude, I remember I was there dropping something off or like picking something up, and I just sat down in his office, and you called, and he's like, hang on 2 secs, I just sold Barcia a Lambo, and he's calling me. And then I was sitting there for that phone call, and like, dude, it was funny because like, I just had never really met you like the whole time that I was there, and I was just laughing so hard. Like, yeah, it was like just after you won the championship, and I was just like, fuck yeah, respect, buying a Lambo.
Thought I was the big deal after one 250 championship. Nah.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a big journey that takes place to be the kid that returns a Lambo to the guy that's stoked on buying forks with his kid, you know.
Literally, yeah. It's just the simple life. Honestly, is the best life. Just dirt bikes, bicycles. I mean, and having opportunities to buy a Lambo and return it on the same day. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. I remember K-Dub always said that he wanted to buy a Lambo, like it was one of his dreams, and obviously like he could afford it. The thing that stopped him was that he had a dirt driveway that was like a mile long to get into his house, and he's like, then where am I going to get the thing serviced? I'd have to get, he's like fully telling me he'd like done all this research into getting his Lambo, and he's like, I was going to have to concrete my driveway, which is probably like 300 grand. He's like, and then I'd have to put a hoist in, then I'd have to fly in a mechanic to like get the thing serviced. He's like, yeah, so when you live rural, then a Lambo is just not a thing that you can do. And I remember thinking like, because I'm pretty sure you had you had your property by then? You had BAM land by then, did you?
Yeah, I lived there, so I would have had to drive it down a dirt road. I didn't get that far of thinking. I think K-Dub's probably a little bit smarter than me, so I didn't get that far. I was just like, car sick.
Oh, dude, it's cool, but like, I mean, it's cool to be in that. I don't know, it's cool to live through that. Like, you got to live through winning a championship super young, and like, you were just the fucking man, like, and you were this wild child. You got to be wild, you got to win a bunch of races, you got to like, your life has a way of just getting this crazy momentum, and that's just like, it makes sense.
Yeah, this sport gives us some great stories, man. The stories could just go on and on through as from amateur days till all the way up until professional days. It's just great stories and great opportunities and great people, meeting great people, making great friends. And yeah, it's like this, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, where would I be if I didn't race motorcycles? And who knows, but definitely would have done all this cool stuff, that's for sure.
It is a crazy thing to think about, like who you'd be, because I mean, like even for me, if I think about it, like I'm like, oh, I could probably do this, like just given the things that I've kind of already done, maybe in a sense, or like skills. But it's like for you guys, like it's just, you've done this one thing for so many hours. Like I think about even when I'm riding and just like practicing myself, because I'm always trying to get better at riding. I love riding, not just for the riding of it, but to me it's like a project. I'm always trying to just get better at it. And it's like I'll spend like 3 or 4 weeks in a row where I ride twice a week. And I'm like, man, I'm really starting to like feel comfortable. I'm starting to enjoy it. So then I just think back to a guy like you that's probably done, like if they say you got to do 10,000 hours on, you know, to be an expert, it's like, dude, you're probably at like 50,000. Like the level of expertise would just be insane, man. So like and then you think like, well, what would you do? It's like, well, what would a person do that's like different to the thing that they've spent 50,000 hours doing? It's just like, you go, well, you wouldn't do anything. Like, it doesn't make sense that you would even look to do something else. You've invested so much time in this one skill.
Yeah, and it's crazy. You invest all this time and we're still striving to get better and be better and put more time in. Like, for instance, tomorrow I'm going to go to the track and like I already have this idea in my head, like the things I kind of want to work on from the weekend. And also like I don't feel like I need to go test or anything, but I'm like, I talked to my suspension guy today. I'm like, hey, there's this one, like I watched the race over a couple of times and there's just these couple corners I keep seeing this thing where like Kenny was able to do this and like, let's like, do you have any idea? And he's like, dude, crazy, I already had that idea, I'm bringing out a shock to try. I'm like, so like you still strive to be better. For instance, like even before the season, me and Sorby have been friends forever. We go way back since like my first year racing Paris Supercross, and we really worked on starts this year and making my starts better. And my starts, like we've made them a lot better. And it's just like, you're always trying to be better at what you do. And even though we've put in all this time since I was, riding a bike since I was 7 years old, I'm 30 years old now. So the hours are endless. But yeah, what else would you do? Like, who knows? But for me, like anytime I ever thought about it, was the only thing like I could see myself doing was like, I really like heavy equipment and like, so working on tracks and doing stuff like that. And then also flying, like I really like flying. So that would be an opportunity. But like, I don't know, you just spent so much time riding motorcycles and it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely crazy to think about.
I love though the fact that a guy like you could go so far in the sport after you retire too. Like there's probably not that many guys that I think would have like just the passion to ride, like to just keep riding and do, like there's obviously like, yeah, you've just got some fucking ADD that's going on that like you need, like you need like put a helmet on this kid and like let him do his thing. But like I feel like this generation has such a good opportunity too. Like you're probably lucky in like the time in the, not just the sport, but in the internet and in content and all that sort of stuff. Like, you're probably not really going to have to look for something else to do, which is cool. And then just the fact that like riding, like guys are just riding longer now.
Absolutely. It's definitely, like you said, the time I've came up through the sport has been a really good time. And I can't see myself really go and do something else, but I definitely want to stay in the sport. But I'm also not a guy that's going to go do TV like, what like Ricky's doing. Like I just couldn't see myself doing that, or can't really see myself being a trainer. Obviously, I've done some schools at my track, but it's just not, I like doing it and I love helping people and I'll always help people because I really like giving back, but that's just not really the route I want to go. The route I want to go is just being my psycho ADD self. Yeah. And like you said, when I throw on a helmet, it's just like, I just want to, I don't even think people really understand me because I don't really like, no one ever really like talks to you like we're talking right now. Like they're just like always like racing, training, like that's it. There's nothing else really. So yeah, people don't know that I just want to send it 24/7 and have fun. And poor Amber, she's got her hands full. She's got like she keeps saying, she always
She's got
says
two
like
kids.
I have 2 kids, and I'm like don't say that, like it's not cool. But it's super true. Yeah, she has 2 kids, and when Sonny gets older, and if he's like kind of like me, yeah, she's gonna have her hands full. But
It's
I'm
a
also
problem.
looking forward to, yeah, it's a problem for sure, but I'm looking forward to having a little buddy that I can just do fun stuff with. It'll be sick.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, I think it's cool too that you're a guy that, like, it's cool for me to hear you say that you like want to get, not that you want to get better. Like, obviously everyone gets better, but you kind of do get into the weeds a little bit of like trying to, make the bike a little bit better. Like, coming up with a plan for things that you're doing, because I think from the outside looking in, people probably think that you don't think about anything when you ride.
Yeah, it's crazy how things work. And, there's a time, like, for instance, like my first 2 years, well, not 2 years, but probably my 2 back-to-back Supercross championships, it was like, didn't think about a thing in the world, didn't work on anything. And actually the second year I broke my wrist the first race this season. So I didn't ride at all during the week. I just played around, like I said, at the track, just like playing around. So it was like back then I was like 17 years old. I didn't really train. I didn't really I just rode my dirt bike a lot. So then when I wasn't riding my dirt bike and I hurt my wrist, I was just like playing around, having fun, and go win another championship. So now it's still similar. Like I have a lot of fun, but now you think about things a little bit more, and you're just at the highest level of the sport. You're always trying to be better, and you watch other guys, or like someone who beat you, or for instance like Eli and Coop or something, you pick some stuff up from them. And like I said, Kenny was behind me, pick up stuff from him, and then you just try to be better. But the biggest thing, you don't want to overthink it, because you could spin yourself out so big. So I feel like at this stage in my career, I'm able to pick little things, and I also have a group of people around me now that I can trust, and you just try not to get lost.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Who are your favorite riders that you race against? Like, who's the guys that you look at and that you're like, fuck, you're good, and it pisses me off?
It's a good question for sure. I like racing Eli. I think he's a fun, he's a fun person to race against, because he's just, what you see is what you get. He's just like digs deep, never gives up. And then Kenny, for sure, he's kind of similar. Just it's like I said, his style and technique on the bike's insane. So he's always fun. But I think those 2 guys for sure. And then like I said, Chase, he's so flawless. Like his riding style is so precise. You can watch him ride all day, so that's cool. And I would say Eli's definitely gnarly, and obviously it shows. And then Kenny, like racing him, and like we had a good race this weekend. Man, he kept me on my toes for 20 something minutes. It was one of the most intense races, but it was also cool for me because I handled the pressure well, so that felt good. It gave me a lot of motivation going into the rest of the season, that I could do that right off the bat in the season. So that was cool. But yeah, there's honestly, and not like trying to forget any of the racers, but there's so many bad dudes right now, but that can show up anytime. But yeah, I like all those guys. They're badass. And I definitely liked K-Dub. Was like probably one of my favorites, like smoothness, and also he was my teammate for a couple of years, so I was like able to be around him and see him. And obviously he was at the end of his career, so it was cool to be around and see that, and he was having a really good time still. So it shows you can do sport for a long time and still have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, dude, the rivalry between you and Kenny is so deep. Like, even fully off the racetrack, like I remember being at Fox one day. It was at Fox with like Kenny and Beeks when Beeks was at Fox, and you called Beeks when I was there with Kenny, and then you could see Beeks was like I'm just gonna answer, and it was just like you guys were like both on Fox. You were both like coming, trying to win the same championships. Like the racing was gnarly. You were both like superstars in your own right, and like crowd favorites in your own right. Like that's such a long-standing rivalry. It just goes so deep. Like even the people around you guys were like cognizant of the rivalry.
Oh yeah, 100%. And everyone stays in the sport in another way or another. It kind of floats around. Like Beaks is always doing different stuff. But yeah, we just both wanted to win so bad. So it was it was just so intense. And it's, still the same now, but it's just, we're a little more grown up. We're a little older. We have kids, but it's still the same thing. We just want to win. And, the intensity is probably even higher than ever.
Yeah, dude, it would be for sure, man. And it is weird. Like, we kind of talked about it at the start, but, like, you guys just don't talk that much. And it's like, imagine, to just put this in real person context, it's analogous to working in a place for 30 years and never talking to the coworker that sits right next to you. Like, imagine you're like Homer Simpson and you're working in the nuclear power plant and you're like sitting there pushing and pulling the buttons, and the dude next to you, you've worked with him for 30 years and you just don't really talk to him. You know his name, you like hear about shit that he says about you, and like you just don't talk. It's pretty much what you guys do. It's fucking weird.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's quite a shame, really, because I think a lot of us could be friends, but it's just the way this sport is and it's been, and how we like came up to the sport, that it just was like, this is what you do and this is the way it is. And yeah, I think a lot of us, like, we are like people, we don't really know each other that much. We just race each other. So like I said, it's quite a shame, because I think a lot of us have a lot of things in common besides riding motorcycles. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame, but for me, I try to be a little more open nowadays, but yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, but I think no matter what, when everybody retires, then there's a point where, like, I remember like when Chad did the podcast back in like 2018, he still had never spoke to James, and I'm on the podcast and I'm like, dude, you guys would be friends. Like, I've hung out with both of you. Like, I played golf with James. You love golf. Like, you've both raced together. You spent, because there's this thing of like relatability, right? Like, me and you, we're into the same stuff. We talk. We can be cool. But like, I can't relate to you on some shit. Like there's just stuff that you've done, things that you've seen, battles that you've been in, like in the level of intensity. Like, there's just a whole aspect of your life that I just you could only ever tell me about it. I could never embody it in that way. Whereas like all of the guys that you race against, there's probably 8 of you on the planet that right now are like in the battle to win and podium 450 main events. So it's like, you've only got this such a small crew of people that could actually like really understand like what you're going through and the pressure and all that sort of stuff. And then it's just like you're not talking that often. But I think once you guys retire, then it's just like that relatability. Like, dude, remember how it used to feel when it was like this? Or do you remember this? Like, you kind of, I feel like at some point you will crave to kind of know what they were going through in the same moment that you were, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense completely. I think, one day for sure we'll be able to be like, hey, what did you think about that? Or yeah, definitely. It'll be cool, because right now it's not that way. So it'll be cool to be like, yeah, like, how about you remember that race? Or yeah, that'll be cool. And it's nice that we'll be able, I do agree. I think we'll be able to do that more, and we'll see each other and just kind of feed off each other. Cause I hear like, a lot of guys retire and they miss the sport. Like, you had Dunge, he came back and raced the season, and like, I think you just miss that competitiveness. But for me, I think I will definitely miss the sport, but I'll do some crazy stuff with motorcycles and bicycles. So it should hopefully keep me somewhat sane.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's just one of those things that, it's like a time thing, like once the time passes. But I feel like it's kind of getting better a little bit, and you can see some guys kind of like a little bit more social than others. I feel like too, there's probably a point as well where a lot of it stems from just childhood, where there's a point where, like, let's say you're on a 65 or an 85, it's kind of like your parents dealing with the problems that get created. So there's probably a lot of stuff that goes on that just kind of like spews over from amateurs, where it's also not just like you guys racing, but it's like the families have had these run-ins, or like the families end up doing the talking, not you guys, because you're just too little. But it's like the racing's the same thing.
Yeah, no, the racing is the same thing. And yeah, it's even like, I think, a lot of us grow up at these training facilities now and stuff too. And like being at MTF, it was kind of like we're like one big kind of family, and we just like kind of, it's like, doing the shit talking and stuff, and you like just like shit talk about these other riders that you're gonna go race and stuff like that. So you just like don't, like, you're like, whatever, like I like, I hate these guys, like I'm gonna smoke them, like all this stuff. So it just like, yeah, it starts when you're young, and you just are, it's the competitiveness, it's wild. Yeah, it definitely goes back to the roots stuff for sure, like day one. And we've all been racing each other forever, and it's crazy now to be in this position. Like for instance, you're right, it is changing. Like, me and Eli's pretty quiet guy, keeps to himself, kind of say hey or whatever, but nothing really more than that. And this year at Anaheim, we were both in the tunnel, and he started talking to me, and I was like, whoa, like he's like asking me like, it's cool to be a dad, right? Like all this stuff. And I was like, I was stoked on it, because I was like, you go up to him like, hey, what's up, man? And you kind of just like, hey, and then, does this thing. But we actually had a conversation. We haven't had a conversation since we were probably like 16, like literally no jokes. It's probably been like 15 years. So it was cool to see us, the times are changing a little bit. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, I think it just sets up some cool stuff in the future for you guys. I think, like everyone be like a 10-year high school reunion. Guys that you like didn't talk to guys you didn't talk to at school. And then you were like, how you going, man? Like, I know we had our shit, but you doing good? And then you like find out you both like the same fucking football team or something.
For sure.
Your kids end up playing soccer together.
Oh, I'm sure that will happen. Yeah, like it'll probably end up racing each other again, and then we'll have to like see each other at the track again every weekend for another 30 years. Like, it's crazy. Who knows? Amber's gonna listen to this and go, "Oh my God, no, we're not going to the track 15 years."
The growing up in MTF, being the first kind of generation through like the training facility kind of deal, like, dude, just you in general as a kid, the generation that you were a part of was sort of seemed like the first generation of the real crazy shit in moto, where it was like you had Ricky Carmichael was doing his thing at the top of the sport, and then everyone was like, right, everyone needs to be fit as fuck, like stop everything, like this is what it's got to be. And you were kind of in that first wave, and then you see the success that you had as a kid and other people that kind of like lived at the training facilities, then that became normal. Even though it's the most unnormal way for a kid to grow up, it became normal. But do you ever think about like growing up at MTF, and like, do you remember the first day getting there and just being like, oh, this is my life now, like I just live at this dirt bike track?
Yeah, I have lots of great memories from there. It was awesome. I wouldn't change it. It was so cool. It's not for everybody. I thrived off that atmosphere of competition every day. But yeah, I remember getting there my first week for the training camp. It was like they did those week training camps, and then I never left. I went there for a week, and I ended up staying there for like 10 years. So but yeah, there was just so, man, I just had it built, I went there like being a really shy kid, like no like crazy stuff, to being just wild, having fun. But it was like all we did, wake up, go to the gym, train all day, get on our pit bikes. Like it was like me, and then Savachi came not long after me, so it was like me, Joey, and a couple other kids. We'd ride our pit bikes all day, and then we play with RC cars, go to bed, and do it again, like for years and years and years until we were probably like, you know, like, I don't know, we kind of grow out of it a little, but not really, like up until we're, you know, 15 years old, like riding pit bikes and dirt bikes every day. So it was just really riding nonstop, and then the gym stuff. So it was like you just live to breathe, you know, dirt bikes. I wouldn't change it. I loved it. Like I think it's a not a bad way to grow up, but it definitely it breaks kids, it breaks families. Like it's not for everyone. Not everyone's gonna go to MTF and make it to be a professional dirt bike racer. It's just, you know, and a lot, like when I got there was quite a bit of older kids that were in the A class, and they were trying to go pro, and like all those guys, you know, don't race anymore. They all disappeared, and like I would say 95% just don't ride dirt bikes anymore, because it does, you know, it takes you somewhere, and then it can burn you out. So it's quite sad. It's not for everyone, but I have seen some of those guys again, and they have like normal jobs, and like they, you know, life is not just motorcycles. Obviously there's way more things going on. So it's also cool to see the guys who didn't make it, what they do now too. So it's it's not for everybody, but there's definitely a couple sickos of us that just love it.
Yeah, like what do you think was in your personality at such a young age that made you thrive in that environment?
Oh man, the competitiveness of it. I loved you know, it is weird though, because when I was a kid, like growing up in New York, I didn't want to do any team sports. Like my parents, they're like, hey, like you have to do some kind of sport, and they were named off all these sports, and I was like, no. And they're like, do you want to race dirt bikes? Which they probably wish they didn't say, because you know, it's a crazy way to, you know, bring a kid up, and a lot of sacrifices. But I was like, yeah, race motorcycles, and then started racing on the weekend local, and then I don't know. It's like this competitiveness of me. I absolutely thrived off it, and then when I got thrown in MTF, it was like I was a good rider, and then it just skyrocketed, like brought out my aggressive riding and my fun, and like just wild, and I was just able to literally run around a facility and just be a complete animal. Like just you literally could get away with murder. Like just it was absolute. It was like a fence around this place, and you could just like I would just free for all, just full wild. And yeah, it was honestly so much fun. It was crazy. I thrived off that. But the main focus was riding. So I was super passionate about the riding. So the riding always was like do the riding, but then I had energy 24/7. So I was just absolute wild. There was this guy Chad Charbonneau. He also really good rider, didn't really go professional or anything. His dad owned like a big construction business up in New Hampshire, but he owned GPF and like was a little bit in MTF, which GPF's just across the street from MTF.
Yeah.
And I really looked up to Chad. Like I just thought he was really cool. Like I don't know why. Like he's just a cool dude, and I still I don't see him anymore. I haven't really talked to him in forever, but he's just a cool dude. So, and I was like that annoying fly, you know, just that would pester him. And he lived across the street on the fence, so I'd always go over there and bother him, and they duct taped me. We had these long pine trees at MTF GPF, and they would duct tape me to these pine trees and just leave me there for hours, like just hours just hanging in these trees. It was hilarious. I remember, I don't know if you know Jojo Keller. He's like old school racer back in the day. He can like wheelie crazy and do all this stuff, and Jojo was down there helping Chad with some stuff, and Jojo he had a soft spot for me. He'd always get me down out of the trees. I remember one year when we used to race at Oak Hill in Texas. Chad just finished washing his bike, and Chad always had the nicest, like cleanest looking bikes, like just decked out, like someone you see their bike and you're just like, oh dude, that's sick of stuff. He just finished washing his bike. I ran up and kicked a mud puddle across this whole bike, and it was like that was it. He snapped and he hung. There had these like poles with flags on them, and he hung me on one of those poles. Like I cannot tell you how many times I got duct taped MTF in these local races because that was the only way. That was the only way they could control my like ADD. They just had to duct tape me up for a few hours, but it did nothing. Like I was like right off the tree, like back at it, and just harassing those guys. They probably couldn't stand me. Like the stories they have is probably great.
There's something to I don't know, there's something to like that little personality trait that you got though, you know, like do you know Wilson Todd? He was in the lights class on the weekend. He's an Aussie kid, 102 on the Honda.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know him personally, but
well, you're describing yourself. That's what he was like. He grew up around us. And that kid was annoying as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I can only imagine like how annoying I probably was to those guys. They're probably like, this guy, he's an idiot. And now he's look at this idiot as a professional supercross racer. Jeez, how'd that happen?
But there's something like I remember there was one time in particular where he used to live like close to one of my other buddies, Todd. And we were out on the ski boat one day. It was like lived on like this big freshwater lake, and we're on this ski boat, and then we're all like on the donut. And you know how you do a whip and you like whip around and then fucking bang. So this kid, Wilson, he was probably like an 8-9-year-old kid, right? And he gets on the boat and he's like, "No one could get me off this thing. There's no chance any one of you would get me off this donut." And we were just like, okay, like we can make this happen.
Yeah.
So we thrashed the absolute fuck out of this kid. Didn't let go. Like it was gnarly. Like I was like, all right, boys, let's back down. Like we're probably gonna hurt him. He refused to let go, and that's that like competitive nature, you know. And like I definitely. Like, I just don't know if I can relate to that as a kid. Like, I feel like nowadays I'm probably more competitive, but I think that there was probably, if I'm completely honest, like, there was probably a part of me that was scared to compete as a kid because I didn't want to lose. Like, I was scared to lose in front of people. Like, so you obviously just didn't have that, maybe.
Yeah, I think, like, I came into MTF at a really good spot in like my age, so there was all like 125 racers and there was really not any really 85 riders. Like there was a couple like or whatever, but like I came in and I ended up being like the best 85 rider, and I was always chasing these 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old riders, and then after me, like B Maisie came, Savachi, like a couple other 80s riders, so they were always chasing after me. And then, but like I know there's a Verb video out there somewhere, and it's like has me like trying to like rip this 125 kid off his bike, like because like he like got mad at me because I probably tried to smash him. I know who exactly is this kid, Sonny Drake. He's like, he also used to be a great racer. Like I secretly, maybe not even secretly, but I looked up to all these kids. I thought they were so cool on these 125s, and I would just like wide open, like just, but I didn't care. I'd slam it in there. Like it just didn't matter. It was like, I think that's what it was for me. I just came into that facility at a good age, like the right timing, and I mean, everything in the world is just, a lot of things in the world are just timing, and timing for me, it was like, well, all the stars kind of aligned, and yeah, we're sitting here talking about it now. It's rad.
There must be like an element of the pecking order. Like there would have been a pecking order at MTF, and then there's probably just you wanting to like fight for your spot in the pecking order, and then there's probably something to the fact that like you probably didn't have much to lose because you were the smallest, like youngest kid. So it's like you weren't supposed to beat the big dudes. So it's not like you ever could lose in a sense. But then it was almost like you're just sort of trying to like fight and claw for that respect. And the way that you did that is by being a G on a dirt bike, and you just like, people have to respect a savage. Yeah,
and that's exactly, you're completely right. There was a pecking order, and I didn't believe in that order because I would just go, it was just silly ADD kid. But that kept throughout the whole time I was at MTF all the way up until big bikes, that carried on. Like, so then there was like, you had Millsaps, Davey was there for a bit still, Davalos, and then a lot of pros that, were like privateers. So, but we would ride Supercross, like as on an 85, we'd like do a day on Supercross after riding or something. And then like on a 125. So like I always had something to thrive towards. Like I got on the 125, and then when I signed my first Geico deal amateur, I got a 250F, and we had like some amateur Supercross suspension. And then I got on the track with them, and it was like something clicked, and like I was going after like Davalos, and that's definitely why he like doesn't. We've had a lot of run-ins, like me and Martine, because
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, because I came on like, I was the new guy, and but I wasn't even pro yet. I was 16, but I was like trying to bang bars with him. So it was like I didn't care about who you were, like what you did, nothing. It was just wanted to go wide open and try to be the best. So yeah, that place for sure. It did. There was something in the water there for me.
Yeah. Do you remember your childhood much before that?
That's crazy you said that. Not really. Like it was, when my parents asked me what I can kind of remember little stuff like in New York and stuff, just like weekend racing and stuff like that. But it's kind of like almost like a little bit of blur, like the New York stuff. But I do remember when my parents asked me if I wanted to race, and I said yes. And I can remember my first race, and I was literally on the line, and I was like bawling in tears because I was so scared. And that continued on for like months and months, like almost probably a year. Like I was so scared, but then when the gate dropped, it was like I absolutely loved it. But my parents were always like, dude, you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, they're like, why are you crying? I was like, I don't know. So it's just, I don't like remember a ton about like, obviously I was old enough to remember life a little bit in New York and stuff like that, but once I got to that facility, it was like something switched, and I thrived off the competition, the atmosphere, and I could just be myself, and no one cared. It was a great place. And there's so many facilities now. It's obviously changed a lot, and it's it's cool. MTF was definitely the OG, and now a lot of facilities are following them.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you say that, because I think that's probably like because for me, I just love understanding the psychology of like great people, and like you're a great person in terms of what you've been able to achieve in your life, and like the place that you've come from, and like to go through everything that you've been through to like end up where you are now. It's like it's always interesting trying to like understand the factors that drove that, and so I was kind of wondering. I was like, man, was it just like you weren't really able to be yourself in that way? Because when you think about it, like when you're a kid, you don't really get to be yourself, or you don't really get to be your own person. Like you're so, like for me, I had a normal family, we had a house, I went to school. Like, you're not allowed to be yourself at school because you have to sit in a chair, and you have to like do what they tell you, and you can't, you can't fuck around, you can't do all the no-nos, and then you go home, and there's like certain rules that you got to follow at home. So it's like you kind of spend a fair bit of your childhood not really getting to exercise the internal, like who you actually are. And then it's almost like you're like this quiet, shy kid that had to follow all the rules that everyone else did, and then you go to MTF, and then you almost get praised in a sense for being, it's not like you get praised for being the wild kid, but it's like as long as you're on the dirt bike, and as long as you're putting in the work, and as long as you're doing good, then like whatever, bro. So it's like you almost just got to kind of like exercise that part of your personality for so long, and then it really ended up becoming your personality. Like it's almost like you went so far with it at MTF, and you lived in such like this weird bubble that it's like it fully just concreted you as the person that you are, and it kind of makes everything else make sense in a way.
Yeah, that is so true. It kind of morphed me into the person I am, and obviously too, like it could have been a bad thing because you could, I could have went the direction a few of the older kids went, where it's like drinking and drugs and stuff like that, because that was like stuff like that was going on like back in the day there.
Yeah.
So, but like it. It could have went a different way for sure, but it was like the path I was on. It was just having fun on dirt bikes, any kind of dirt bike, pit bike, real bike, and having there was good people there and a lot of people to look up to, and just I thrived off it, and it definitely made me the person I am today for sure. And now I'm able to, and then when you go pro, it obviously changes, and you kind of, then you almost kind of got to go back to this
like
weird
rail it back in a bit.
Yeah, bring it back in. And now I'm kind of at the point in my career where I'm able to kind of open it up again and kind of show myself. So it's pretty cool.
It definitely makes sense. I wanted to get the picture. I wanted to like try, but it kind of, I feel like I understand a little bit of like kind of what it must have been like. And so I know that there was like drugs and drinking and girls and like that stuff going on there. Why did you stay out of it? Like, what was it was just something that and because even now, like, that's one thing I was thinking coming into this, because like I used to go to the parties, so I know the guy that I know the guys that partied over there from like that generation. I know the guys that didn't, and like you were just a guy that was never on the radar. Like, was there a reason you stayed off drinking and drugs?
No, there was no reason why I did or didn't. I just never, I guess the girl thing, I was scared of girls forever. So, you know how that goes, like the kid, but no, I just, it never intrigued me. Like there were the opportunities were there, and I never once like did drugs, drank. And, even now in this position I'm at in my career, I literally maybe will drink like twice a year. Like, it's just not, I don't know. I just not, I don't, just doesn't get me excited. I just, I go to the UK after the season and hang out with friends and whatever, like have some fun or whatever. Like, but it's not like, going and partying or whatever. That's just not, I don't know. It's never been me. Like, and then when you go pro as well, there's like these monster parties and all these things. And, I remember they forced me to go to a few, and it was just so awkward for me. I was just standing there, like, just felt so out of place, I guess, because I never was in that position. And like, I just never thrived off that. And I think there's a lot of us like that. Like Eli, he's not really like that. And like, we go to these things now, like we're kind of a little bit awkward, but I think now I'm like, feel fine with going to something like that and now hanging out and having some fun. But yeah, I don't know. There was no reason why, I chose this direction not to drink and party, but it just like,
just wasn't
just
you.
didn't go that route. Yeah, it just wasn't me. And yeah, it wasn't. And my parents were great, because they never really like told me I couldn't drink or do like whatever, and also my dad and mom, they never pushed me to race. Like, I was self-motivated. Like my parents would rather have, rather told me not to race than race. Like, there was never like, hey, you gotta try harder, like do all this stuff. It was just no push at whatever. It was just all like me, all the pressure I put on myself. And so that was also why probably it was, just something clicked, and just was a good feeling for me to go race and I had there was so much fun doing it, so I didn't really look at anything else.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that you go to those things and you feel like a little bit awkward. It's kind of weird. I never really thought about it, but when you get signed to be a professional dirt bike rider, professional supercross rider, you just kind of expect that you'll go and do all these different things. Like, there's a bunch of boxes that you need to tick, but it's just like a couple of those boxes you just don't give a fuck about, or like don't make you feel comfortable. Don't like to go to a monster party or to go to these different events. Like, some of that stuff just fully would go against like your personality or Eli's personality, and I guess like just those interactions in general, like they kind of like can be awkward, right? Like, because everyone knows who you are. but then you don't know who everyone is. And then even that just creates like a weird dynamic.
Yeah, those parties I always found really weird. Like after the, Vegas, there was always the party after Vegas, and I did find it odd because there was always like a lot of fans there, which fans are awesome, but they always wanted to take pictures and stuff, and it was like just a booze fest. So I always felt really like awkward, like, because I'm like, should I take pictures here? I might get in trouble if someone sees like all this alcohol around me and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely different. We didn't grow up around that stuff, so it's different.
Yeah, it's just weird to like, you sort of just think that, oh, he's good at riding a dirt bike, like he should just be good at all this other stuff, but there's a lot of it where it's like, this just ain't my deal, bro. I just want
like
overalls and a tractor.
Literally, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So when did you get into the flying? When was that like first become on your radar?
It was probably towards the end of Geico. I got in this weird stage where I was scared. Like I got kind of scared to fly, and like toward the races and stuff, I got like just super like paranoid. I didn't like flying like to the races, so I was like, well,
did something happen that like made you
yeah, probably there was probably some rough flights, and like just like, and especially being based out of Florida, it's so many thunderstorms and just really rough flights. So I probably got scared, and then I was like, oh, I don't really want to fly. And so being like someone who likes to kind of be in control, I went to the local airport and met this guy that did flight training and ended up becoming friends with him, and I just started flying with him all the time. Like he did like some commercial flights and stuff, so I would go and like, when any chance I got, I would try to go fly with him. And then I was working on my pilot's license, and I was at Factory Honda, and we went and did Motocross Nations. I think it was in Germany or something, and I came home and I didn't fly for like a month or so, and I went back to the airport, and I was at the point where I was able to go fly by myself, and it's like a 30-minute flight, maybe not even, like 15-minute flight over my track, and I'd always fly over there to kind of do some loops, check it out, like buzz the track or whatever, and then fly back to the airport. And a storm rolled in, and I was landing. I tried to land, and the wind picked the wing up, and I had to go around, and then I land again, and it was a rough landing, and it kind of freaked me out a bit. I was like, oh man, if I'm not like doing this stuff full time serious, because it's like you need to put a lot of time into like hone a skill, and I just wasn't putting enough time in. So I haven't flown in ages. Like sometimes if there's a close race or something, I'll call my buddy up and he'll fly me to like a close race in a little turbo prop plane. But after that one like little scare flying by myself, like I was like, if I'm not gonna dedicate my time to this, I probably shouldn't be doing it. And I couldn't, I can't race and dedicate full time to flying. So I was bummed on that. But like I definitely love flying now. Like I'm super into airplanes, and like I even have like a little plane tattooed on my arm. Like I just kind of loved it, and the control feeling, just like being up in the air and like having that like control feeling was so cool. And that's the closest thing I think to like racing dirt bikes, like flying a plane. To me, that was like similar in a weird way.
What's the feeling that you're chasing? Like obviously it's like control, but like you can get that for like driving a car or whatever. But
this is gonna sound kind of
what are you
psycho.
Chasing?
Yeah, I don't. I've never said this before. It sounds kind of psycho, but is it like the, like can die feeling? Maybe I don't like. No, that sounds crazy to say. Like, not right. Does that sound crazy to say? But like I don't know. What is it like that not like the death feeling, but like the, that you're on that edge, like of like life. Like, it's kind of wild to say that. And I've never like thought about that or said that, but it's just that fine line of you have all this control, but also it could be taken away that fast. So it's like, I'm in full control, but am I really? I don't know, it's crazy to say that because I've never like thought about it or said that, but it seems that a little bit. Just like dirt bikes, like it could be it could be done at any second. But it's like, I think the passion, I had a strong passion for racing motorcycles, and I give it my all every time I'm on the bike. And it was like the same thing in the airplane. Like, I get in there super serious and give it my all and super passionate about it. So it's like, I guess like driving a car could be the same thing, but I never really raced cars or anything or did anything like that. So I guess the high level of that as well, it could probably be the same thing.
Yeah. There's, I think that there is like something to that in a weird kind of way, right? Like, because there's a feeling, like, I definitely get it on a dirt bike, but I kind of try and avoid that feeling. Like, I try and ride the bike just before the feeling where it's like, when you're like almost about to fall backwards on a chair and you get like that, like that feeling. That I get
so
that
I don't.
Yes,
but so I don't get that. I don't get that feeling really. It's like, so when I'm riding, I don't really like ever feel like on the edge. Like, obviously when people watch me, they're like, well, this dude's a psychopath, like he's on the edge, like sending it. But like, I don't get that feeling at all for some reason. So it's definitely, there is a feeling to it, but I don't know. You'd have to dig deep in the brain to find that feeling, because I don't know what it is. It's freaky.
So, but you get it flying?
Yeah, I did get, I don't know, it just was something about it. Like, it's like I always go back to like the control feeling of it. Like, you have to have all this control. But also, like, in life, you would think I would just be a super control freak, but I don't really feel like I'm that way. I'm quite, obviously I'm like things, or like I'm a bit like things organized and certain things a certain way, but I'm also not, like, also I'll have a mess and like I'm like, but that's like a organized mess. So I wouldn't, the control thing, like, I always go to that, but is it really that? I don't know. But like flying, I do get a similar feeling to racing motorcycles, like the feeling that I love. So I don't know what it is, but, and I haven't flown in so long, so it's like I just get my fix off of riding dirt bikes.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound psycho to say, but I do think that there is sort of something to it, like, it's like you almost don't, it's like contrast. Like, it gives your life meaning that you could die, in a sense, so it's like, I must be alive if I could die right now.
Yeah, and you don't think about that. Like, that's not like, you don't get geared up and you're like, I could die. Like, this is gonna be sick. Like you don't think about that or anything like that. But maybe in this psycho-ish way, like our adrenaline, all that stuff. That's what we're searching for. I don't know really, but
yeah,
it sounds believable.
It's very, very, very heartbreaking, though, for me to hear you say you don't get scared riding, because fuck, I get scared, right? I hit like one kicker, bro, and like my fucking bike moves to the right, like the tiniest bit, and I'm like, fucking feels like that feeling when you fall off an office chair, I'm like, oh fuck, rein it in, bro.
Yeah, mate, honestly, like Anaheim track was one of those tracks that was like, I don't know, it's something in us that it switches and you just send it, but that track was so difficult, like, to ride, and it could bite you at any time. Like, I mean, there's so many of us crashed, like, so, like, all over the place. The race was hectic, and anyone who podiumed there, like, had crushed it, because that track was so difficult. And to not like get scared or anything, like, we're definitely weird for sure, like, not normal.
Yeah, no, because I definitely get scared, and I think like,
yeah.
But then there's a thing where it's like I get scared, and then I'm like, oh, nothing happened. Like, it's not that big of a deal, But like, because that's what I've always been just so fascinated with, like how me and you are just having like the same experience, but it can be so different. Like, I can just want it, like, just the simplest way to think of it is like, we're going down a straightaway and then there's a left-hand U-turn and a right, and it's like we both get this feeling of like, okay, we've got to hit the brakes right now or we won't make the turn, right? But like, I'm just hitting the brake, I'm not going as fast before I hit the brakes, and then I'm like hitting the brakes earlier. But I would assume that, or maybe like you just don't even have the feeling that of like that like scares you to hit the brakes. It's like not. I don't know. Like maybe we're not having the same experience, because like I'm like getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going too fast, and now I've got to slow down, or I'm not going to make this turn. Like so, yeah. I've always been fascinated with how we can be doing the same thing but so differently.
No, it's the same thing for me as well. Like I did a track day with Stoner and Spees out in California with Alpine Stars and Yamaha, and like it was just like I don't get it. I feel like I'm like barely dragging my knee, and like I feel like I'm going so fast, and then these guys are just like beat by me, dragging knee, like doing all this stuff, and I'm just like just like I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's the same with anything in life. Like I don't why is it different? Who knows? But yeah, it's so crazy. Just like bicycle thing. Like I said, I went riding bicycles with my buddy, and he's doing this crazy stuff, and it's like yeah, we all have our niche and that we're good at and stuff.
Yeah, and it's obviously just comes down to like time and prediction. You know, like I just don't ride enough to like predict what the motorcycle's gonna do, I guess. And then whereas you're probably like something that feels like a bit of an oh shit moment to me, it's just you've experienced it so many times that it's like when it happens, your brain just doesn't even like register it, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, like you come off the track sometimes and someone's like, dude, that was so gnarly, that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, and then there's things like this weekend, you know, we had a finish line jump, a double, and then this like tight little triple into a sweeper, and like like one lap in practice, I was literally aimed like right at the tough block, and I missed it by an inch, and I was like, whoa, like that. There was something that was like, whoa, that was so gnarly, and then no one else even noticed it. So it's like certain things to us are gnarly that are not gnarly to someone else. It's just all perspective, I suppose.
That section that you're talking about, I said on the Supercross Companion that's a section where you can really see how good the bikes are that you guys ride these days. Because like to land off that three, like if you three'd all the way, or even if you go double single, you're landing on a flat turn, on an angle, and then straight on the gas again. It's like the average person they could not make that happen, and then the average bike just would not react properly there.
No, and it was landing on like this slick, shiny concrete, so the traction's like zero. So yeah, like it's impressive what these bikes are capable of now, and like and we just ride them a lot, so we're just able to hone in our skills and learn what they can do, and yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, like I looked at it. It looks like such a simple section of track, but it's not. Like there's a lot going on there in terms of like bike setup, rider technique. Like there's just that to me was just such a clear example of like, fuck, these guys are good.
Yeah, and it's one of those sections. Usually, there's a lot of time that we made up. Like it's so simple, but you can like land that triple perfect and carry so much momentum into that sweeper, and then triple again. Like, yeah, those simple things sometimes are like some of the hardest, but also the biggest time makers on the track, because like I said, we're all doing the same jumps and the same rhythms, but it's all just about pushing through that stuff harder and carry more momentum and speed.
Yeah. So, switching gears a little bit, what was it like to have a child brought into this world? Special.
Yeah. It was no feeling like it, really, to be honest. Like when he was born it was insane, honestly. So it was scary. It was really scary. But then also just like melts your heart, and definitely feelings that I've never felt before. And like we were in Florida, we had him, and then 3 weeks later, like, well, you leave the hospital, and it's just like, all right, like what do we do, kinda, and you just get on with it, you figure it out, and then like 3 weeks later, it's like, all right, we got to go to California. We got 2 weeks before Anaheim, so get on a plane, fly him across the country, but you just learn, you pick it up, and it's really, man, it's so cool to like he's only 6 weeks old, but like to see how he's changing and like starting to smile and like I keep saying he's like morphing into a little human, because I mean he is, and I think it's really cool to see him like just change. And like me and Amber's crushing it. She's doing a great job. It's not easy, you know, our position in racing. It's so serious, so we have to train a lot, we have to ride a lot, we have a lot of things going on, so you have to have a strong wife to help you have a kid during race. And I can see why a lot of people wait until they're retired, because it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not, you know, it's not a dog. You don't just let him out and give him some water. You gotta take care of him. And but it's cool. He's gonna get to grow up, like, you know, already he's traveled to a ton of places, and he's gonna get to fly around and be at the dirt bike races for a few more years, which I think will be a really cool way to grow up. And he's going to be able to see the world, and he's got an English mom. So that would be cool to be able to go to the UK. And but it's surreal. It's definitely a really good feeling. And it's just like, for right now, like I go to the track, I do my work, and I just want to get home and see him. So it's just brings like more perspective to life a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for someone that's had like so many gnarly injuries and like always been in hospitals and all that sort of shit, was it gnarly to just be doing like the delivery? I don't know if like you watched it or if you were in there or like what the deal was, but just being on the other side of like essentially a surgery.
Oh, it was scary. Yeah, it was really like, when we go through it, it's like, it just is what it is. But then like someone you love, like going through it was really intense. And Amber ended up having to have like emergency C-sections, because like it just, you know, he's like stopped breathing a couple of times. It got like really scary. So they like just rushed her in, and they're like, all right, you like just put on this suit and we'll just walk you back here, and they're just gonna start. And like I went in there, and like they walk you into this room, and like they're doing surgery on her, and they just have a little like cloth between her face and like the surgery. So I'm like, see that, and then like it's just so intense. Like it was the real deal. Like it was I've never felt that before, for sure. It was like really intense. And then like him come out, and it was gnarly. Cool, like really like so special, but like so for real. That was like, this is real life.
It's so gnarly just what the human body's capable of. Like you just grow a fucking child. What?
No, it's not. It doesn't. I sit there at Amber and looking at Sonny, and I'm just like, that's ours. Like we made him, and he, like the whole process of like women, how they can do that and birth, and it's unbelievable. Makes us dudes look like nothing, because that's incredible how. And then like, you know, C-section's kind of gnarly. That's major surgery. So like 3 weeks later, we're flying out to the race and going racing. So I keep telling Amber, I'm like, you're super mom, like you crushed it. Like, and it's impressive what women can do.
Did you think that it was impressive that a woman would want to marry you, knowing how fucking weird you are? You get like this nice English bird that comes out to live in the fucking BAM land with just the biggest kook of all time. Like, how's that work?
Yeah, Amber always says I tricked her, which I kind of tricked her for sure. No, I was, dude, it was crazy. I was just single and I was racing. We did Lille. They did Lille that year. It wasn't it was Paris, but it was Lille. And the crazy thing is, Amber was actually at that race, and we didn't even meet. We never saw each other, never met. She was there working. And then a couple weeks later, we went and raced Geneva and had a few mutual friends. And I met her, and I was like, this chick's so hot, like just like hearts in my eyes, you know. And then she was like, oh, we're all gonna hang out at the hotel or whatever. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll see you after the race. And I had a crap race, and I wasn't gonna go hang out or anything. And went in the elevator, and the elevator's going up, and it opens not on my floor, and she's in the elevator. I'm like, like this is the coincidence, like, whoa, crazy. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna go hang out. And I was like, yeah, I might come down. And so anyways, we ended up hanging out and talking, and like I said, I like had a crap race and stuff, and then I don't know, I was not in a good place in my career at all. I was like, not just, yeah, it was rough, but obviously people still believed in me. So, and I still, had some, that's when we were on Suzuki just starting. So it was like the first or second race, and it was just, yeah, it was tough. Like I was not in a mentally good place. So it just seemed like for some reason I met Amber at a really good time. And like Amber's super smart. She's got her master's and all these degrees in psychology and criminology and all this stuff. Oh yeah, like she's
I didn't
really,
know that.
really smart. Yeah. So she's like my personal psychologist. So, but yeah,
Is that a good,
so we end up
a good thing?
Yeah, it's really good. No, it's been you would think like we would drive each other crazy, but no, it's like we're a really good fit. It's actually really cool. But yeah, we ended up hanging out that night, and then she's like, yeah, me and my friend are staying here a couple of days. Like, are you going home tomorrow or what? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, you should stay and hang out with us. And I like that's not my style at all. Like I was supposed to fly home, and that it was like probably a couple hours like until we were supposed to fly home. So anyways, I call like Delta. I'm like, hey, I need to change my flight. And my mom was there, and Ben was there, and Ben's like, yeah, dude, like go change your flight, stay. Like, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should. So anyways, I did. And the next morning, my mom's like, you need to get your shit together. Like, what are you doing? Like all this, like she was super mad at me, and which she should have been, because I was like, didn't have my shit together. So anyways, I ended up staying an extra day in Geneva hanging out, and we just communicated and I got hurt before Anaheim. So I like flew. I was like, hey, do you want to fly out here for a week and hang out with me? And like the Amber, she's like, if you ask her family or friends, she would never do that. So she like flies out, we hang out for about a week. She flies home, and then I'm still injured, can't do anything. So I'm like, hey, like I was thinking like maybe I'll fly to UK and like hang out. And she's like, yeah, that's cool. So get a flight to the UK, hang out, meet her parents, and her parents liked me, and my mom thought I was crazy when I stayed in Geneva. And then like my mom loves Amber so much, family, like. So anyways, it was just crazy. Like it was like when it's everything clicked, and
Yeah.
and Amber says like, oh, you were so sweet and so nice, and obviously like I'm different, like I'm not like from Supercross, so I am trying to be sweet and nice, but I also definitely tricked her. I was like pulled the wool over or whatever, like yeah. So it's crazy. But yeah, Amber, like I said, that was at the worst time of my career, so mentally I was in a bad position, and I was gonna retire. And like if Amber didn't come along, I probably would have retired, because she knew I wasn't done with my career. So yeah, she pushed me to keep racing. So yeah, she definitely changed my life in more than one way.
It's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I never like really talk about relationship stuff, but like my chick now, like I was pretty much I was like super low point when I met my chick. I ended up like I was on like a trip. I crashed. I fucked my shoulder. I was like the brokest. I was so broke, like it was retarded. Like the podcast was like big, but I just wasn't making like any money, and like I just went through like a bunch of shit. And yeah, like meeting her, like if you meet the right person at the right time, like it's actually crazy what just having some like, because even though the podcast was like super successful at the time, different to what it is now, but it was definitely like good, and it was successful enough, but like it still just didn't really feel like people believed in me that much, and then with her, she just like full like just saw everything that I saw, and it was like she just saw it when I was like the only one that saw it, but I'd pretty much given up on it in a sense too, like I could see I was like, I can see how this works, but it's just not fucking working. And then, yeah, it was just like she could see it almost like better than I did, and it was definitely like a changing point for me in a sense,
Same. No, everything you just said is like the same thing. It's like when you meet that person and they literally believe in you more than we believe in ourselves. It's like so special that if you find someone like that and at the right time, like changes your life completely, like 100%. And like obviously now we have a baby, but she Amber sacrificed. She was about to just like start, she was going to be a doctor, like a psychologist and stuff. She was just about to do that. She was like a year away from it, and then I come into her life and change that whole situation, and she changes my whole life. Like it's it's honestly, the world works in mysterious ways. It's sick.
Yeah, man, that's cool. I didn't know that she had a master's in psychology. It's like a badass chick to be around, and honestly, like, kind of makes sense in a way, like that. You kind of the career. Not that it's all down to like your fucking chick having a psychology degree, but like it just, there seems like just a different level of like maturity in the way that you approach things now. It just seems like a guy that's just way more like mentally like headstrong in a sense, less reckless, just more like calculated. People probably are going to listen to that and be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
but it's true, like if you look at the career swing that you've had from like wanting to retire on JGR to the version of you that we've seen now, like it's pretty massive.
Yeah, it's huge. And you just meet that person and they change your life, and it's definitely crazy. Like, yeah, she was supposed to be a psychologist. It's like insane. And like for me, like that's like somehow the person I needed in my life to fix my whole career. So yeah, I definitely give Amber a ton of credit for that. She turned my career around, and like she's not, you wouldn't think she's was going to be, a doctor and stuff, psychologist. Like she's really fun, obviously super professional, but also like, she traveled around. She did a lot of Monster stuff for Monster in Europe, like going to races. And the crazy thing is she never did the motorcycle stuff. She just did like she did a lot of stuff actually with Ken Block and like car stuff, rally, like all that kind of stuff. So she just, the year we met, she just started doing a couple Supercross, like the Geneva, the Paris, stuff like that. So it's like just everything kind of happens like coincidence. It's like I said earlier, like all the stars kind of align and it just works out. Yeah.
So what have you learned dating or being married to a chick from the UK, another country? What have you learned about the world? What have you learned about Americans?
that the UK is sick. Like like the people in the UK are really cool. Like honestly, all my friends now are in the UK. Like I like true friends like that I have over there. A lot of them are over there. Obviously, I do have a lot of good friends over here in the US as well. But Europe is just it seems a little more chill, like a little more relaxed in a way. Like everyone in America is always like, I don't know, just trying to kill each other for something a little bit in a way. Like it's kind of crazy, just more, I don't know, seems a little more intense here. Over there, like anytime I go over there, it just feels like really calm and relaxed, and everyone's just super like genuine and nice people.
Had you traveled like that much before? Because it's different when you go for racing versus when you just go because that's where like your partner's from. Like it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, exactly. It is. I always did, like I said, I did a lot of motocross nations, and then like Paris and Geneva all the time. So, and like Italy back in the day, we used to do a few races there. But like you said, it's just kind of like you go fly over there and you try to like get on the time and you're like so tired and you're just racing and eat some of the food. Like obviously for me, I love Europe in general. Like I always wanted to go over there and race kind of for a long time in my career. So it was like I always really liked it. But then when you go somewhere and you spend a couple weeks and chill out and like go see things and do things and meet people, and it's just a good time. Like the last time I went over there, we spent like a week or so, and I got a bicycle while I was there and just went with my buddies, and we just like rode bicycles through like all these trails, and just it's a good time.
Yeah, Europe's pretty cool, man. I just think too, like when you get a perspective of just how old stuff is, I don't know why, but that's always just like really resonated with me. Like you drive through the English countryside and you see the stone fences, and you're just like, it's probably fucking 1,000 years old. It's probably older than anything that's in America.
Yeah, the UK is crazy. Yeah, there's like, that's what when I go over there too. We've been so many places over there and seen so like you can go to these castles and do all this stuff, and it's just like so wild. Like in America, we don't really care about like knocking stuff down and rebuilding it, and there's just so much property and all this stuff. And like in the UK, there's just so many, like a lot of rules. You can't knock things down, and you can't build here, which some people don't like that. But like it's super cool to go over there and like the cool thing about it for bicycles, there's like giveaways in everyone's fields, so like you can just ride like your bicycle like everywhere there because there's like little like horse pass through like every field in the UK, so it's like super rad. In America, you would get shot if you did that.
Yeah, 100. Like literally, you'd get shot. Like there would, and there'd be a sign telling you that you'd get shot.
That you're gonna, yeah.
It's not even like it'd be a surprise.
No.
It's funny. Could you see yourself living over there?
Yeah, I could for sure. There's definitely, that's the plan. We want our kids to go to school there. So definitely in the next, obviously couple of years, we definitely like to get a little house there and, put the kids to school there for sure. But definitely going to keep my place in Florida and always be kind of same, like in between the two places for sure. And obviously, I don't know what my career is going to bring after racing. So I might be over here in the US more. I might be in the UK doing things through Europe, but that's kind of the cool thing about it is I just feel like there's so many opportunities. I can ride dirt bikes across the whole world and bicycles across the world. Like I just, it's endless.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to be super central too. Like I'm about to move over to Dubai, and it's just like the whole thing is like I just want to be in the middle. So that I can, like, I want to go to GPs this year. I want to go to World Cup downhill races this year. Like, to be able to go places so easily. And that's one of the best things about Europe, man. Like, you're in the UK, dude. You're a fucking 2-hour flight from pretty much everywhere, that you'd sort of want to go in Europe. And it's just so easy these days, to just jump on a plane. And even it's so easy just to go back to America if you have to.
Yeah, literally 7-hour flight to America, and yeah, like you said, 2-hour flight all throughout Europe, and then that's actually sick. You're going to Dubai. I've never been there. It looks insane, so that'll be cool. Amber's been before, and she always tells me it's how like unreal it is. So I bet that'll be sick. Congrats.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Like I'm actually keen to do some riding over there too. Like we've done. I rode, dude. They got this track. It's like 6 Ks long motocross track in. So imagine if like Glamis had a permanent motocross track that was just pegged out 24/7 that goes for 6 kilometers. Like that's what it's called, MX Ride in Dubai. I did 2 laps of it on a TM 450 with like not straight handlebars. So I'm like actually frothing to get back there and do some riding because we're all doing world vets at the end of the year. Like me and my buddies that we grew up racing, my brother and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go full trainer mode, going full fitness. Like I even text Will, and I'm like, dude, when I get to America, like I'll come to your garage and like we'll train and get ready. But one of the things I'm excited for is just like riding and kind of like exploring a new place because, dude, I'm even like kind of just into the adventure bike stuff as well these days. Like, going doing a couple 100 miles and taking some lunch and a camelback. Like it all I don't know, all that shit excites me as I get a bit older.
No, for sure. I think the adventure bike stuff's sick. Like Jeff Stanton, I trained with him for a couple of years and we're good friends and we go way back, but he does this adventure camp now and people fly in and go ride with him and do all this stuff and he lives up in Michigan and it's like looks unreal, the trails they ride and stuff, like so beautiful. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm all into that kind of stuff, all kinds of riding, just different disciplines, and it takes different types of skills. And the more different stuff you do like that, I believe it just hones your skills even better for when you go race. So it's like it's cool to do all that different stuff.
Yeah, man. No, it's definitely. I'm excited about it. Like it's gonna be gnarly though. Like, dude, the track was fucking brutal, man. Like I honestly couldn't believe it. In 2 laps, my back was smoked.
So no prep on the track.
Nah, like I think they bulldoze the start straight sometimes. But the thing is they're legit sand dunes to where they're just changing every single day. So they've got these long ass poles that stick out of the ground so like the track can't change, but everything's different every single day, and it's just all these like blind rollers basically. I'll actually send you a video, but they reckon even the local guys are like most of the time you just can't go out first lap and jump everything because the wind has changed the dunes so much. But like, and they get rain sometimes, but it's so dry out there as well. It's just like dry sand dunes using just like a scoop tire that you'd use at Redbud.
Yeah, well, you'll probably get better at riding for sure, riding that stuff, because it's like sand and dunes and it changing nonstop. Definitely get better. That's good.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see if we can get any better. But yeah, I think just being in a I don't know, just a different part of the world. Like I think some people like traveling, some people don't like traveling. It's a fuck around to travel. Like especially when you get in a really good routine. That's actually one thing I learned through COVID that I'd never really done before, was got into like a really dialed routine, and then to break that. And I think I ended up like, it was when I went to Bali. I hadn't been on a plane in like 2 years, and then I went and I spent 6 weeks in Bali, and just literally had anxiety from just the smallest shit of like just not being in the exact same. I'm like, dude, you literally used to travel all over the world for your entire life, and now you fucking freak out over one flight and you can't deal with it.
I think I get what you're saying, and I think that's a hard thing about racing, is because we have to, like, so you like the diet, like try to have like the strict diet and like healthy and travel and your sleep and all this stuff, and then like when you have a kid and racing dirt bikes and traveling so much, it's like I think for myself, like I'm super into the whole nutrition stuff and like doing all that stuff and training, so like I think like I'm pretty good at it, but it's so intense, like trying to juggle all this stuff and like do it all. It's pretty wild. And like you said, like you do these boot camps, like we do these boot camps in Florida before the season, and you have this base and you're there, and then it's just like, all right, we're gonna go fly every single weekend, and you just have to like, you kind of geek out a little, and you just like pack your little lunches and do all this stuff. I like that stuff. I think it's fun, but it's super difficult to do. And then especially having a kid, it throws another curveball in there. It's so wild. Like I love it, but it's definitely changes life completely.
Well, you'd have to prioritize him more than you, right? Like you can't exactly just be like, nah, I'm just gonna do my own thing. Like, I've got to get this done. It's like, well, no, he just dies. Like you do your fun thing, or like the kid dies.
Yeah, literally. No, you definitely prioritize the kid for sure. And it's luckily it hasn't been like this crazy hard change. It's just like the biggest thing, like me and Amber were scared of, it was just going to change our life completely. Like we weren't going to go out to eat anymore, because we really like to go to like cool restaurants when we're traveling and do all this stuff and see stuff, and we were scared that it was going to change everything. But like literally I think we just literally threw him into our life, and we haven't changed a thing. And it's like if he cries, we give him a bottle. If he cries, we change his diaper. Like it's just, you just get on with it, and you don't let it change your lifestyle. It's cool,
mate. That's such like a UK mum thing though, I reckon. Like that'd be Amber just fully channeling like her mum and like her grandma and shit.
Yeah, literally, like even at the podium this weekend, like he's crying and Amber's has a bottle and feeding him at the podium. I'm like, this is so funny. Like definitely popping different bottles nowadays. That's for sure.
yeah,
it's cool. It's really cool.
I just think it's gnarly that all three of you guys are just born. Well, Eli's kids are a little bit older, but it's like Coop. I mean, you, Coop, Dino, like you all kind of had kids around the same sort of time, and it's like you've known each other since you were kids as well. Just the fact that you three guys all got on the box this weekend, and literally it's just like trophy newborn.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I think it's cool. And like, yeah, Marvin had a baby. Anderson's gonna have a baby. Like, it's just, yeah, we're growing up, and also, yeah, it was like, I don't know. It's weird how it's happened. Like the timing, all of us having kids at the same time. Like I don't know, it's like we almost like I'm lying to you that we don't talk. We all had a little powwow and we're like, all right, now's the time. Let's do it. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, it's just weird how that shit works out. But I think, is it because this, like, do you think it's because you guys just aren't retiring as early as what, like, Ricky, James, Chad, Ryan? Do you think that there was just like a weird era of the sport where guys just retired so young that it was almost just like at 27 you were done? So it's like you could wait until you had kids, whereas nowadays it's just like, I'm still racing, I'm still on the box, I'm still loving it, I'm 30, like, we've got to have a kid. We can't wait until,
It seems that way for sure, but for me, I mean, I just wanted a kid. Like, I was like, so Amber wanted to obviously wait till we moved back to the UK, but I was like, kind of like, I think like I'm probably like, because I was like maybe 2 years when I signed with Gas, I was like, this is gonna be my last contract, and it was a 2-year contract, and now this is my 3rd year with him. So I was like, yeah, probably after 2 years we'll move back to UK and have a kid. So that would have been after this season, but like, I was like, nah, I think I want to race like quite a few more years. So I was like, let's just do it. Like I'm ready. Like I can handle it. Like it's no big deal. Like we'll figure it out. And I feel like we are figuring it out and we're doing a good job. And it's definitely the right decision. And there's no problem going racing with a kid. It's like you said, there's 3 of us on the podium this weekend with kids. So it's definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah. Why do you think the retirement age is going up, though?
It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, no idea. Like, no clue. For me, I just feel like figured out how to take care of the body better and the riding. I feel better than ever riding and having fun, and I don't know. It's just I don't know if it's just times have changed, but I'm happy about it because I still want to race and I'm really enjoying it. So, and it'll be cool if I can keep racing for quite a few more years, and like Sonny will be able to kind of actually get an idea of what I did, hopefully. So that'd be cool if he was still like, if he gets old enough to see me race a little bit, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, fuck, it just seems like there's no reason for... And even Eli, like, imagine if he retires this year, just like, bro, you're killing it right now. Like, you really don't need to... Like, you could do it if you find it fun,
Yeah, it sounds crazy to hear that he could retire after this year because he's like... I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like we're that old. Like, we're having a good time. We're racing, and obviously he could retire. He's done really well for himself, and no one would be mad that he retired, but it doesn't seem like he needs to. It looks like he's having fun and he's still obviously really competitive, and yeah, it's I don't know why the times have changed so much, but it's cool. I think it's just we all brought these kids into the world and now they're going to be running around the pits in a couple of years. Like it's just it's funny, really.
Yeah, it's like a cool full circle kind of deal. Did you think when you were younger, like let's say like 18, 19 Geico days, like what did you think retirement would have looked like then? If you had to, or were you just, it never even crossed your mind?
No, it never really crossed my mind. I never thought about it like retiring. I was just like, I think you're just so in the moment in racing, and there's it's like, like going to MTF, you're in that bubble, and now we're just in a big racing bubble, and it's like you don't really think about that, the life after racing really. And then now it definitely I never thought I was going to get married, have a kid. I never really thought about that stuff, and then it all just clicks and comes together, and it's now you start to see life, and obviously there's more to racing, and it's really it's cool. Yeah, you just you get in this bubble and you don't think about it, and then things just start happening. You don't think about retiring and stuff, and you just go with the flow.
It's funny when you say things start happening, you don't think you're gonna get married, bang, you're engaged, and you get married. You don't think you're gonna have a kid, bang, you got a kid. And There's almost like a weird thing where sometimes you've just got to like get out of your own way and like let your life happen to you if it's going good. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like if I looked back at my life in like my 20s or the times that I struggled, I was probably just in my way a little bit more than I needed to be, and like overthinking decisions, and like, because I think about, you know, now, like there's like even like moving to Dubai, like, well, it was just a thing that got brought up to me in May of last year, and it was just like, okay, like, yeah, maybe, like I don't really want to live anywhere else. And then you just inquiring about things, and you just start going down the road, and then it's just, then fucking it ends up happening. And it's like all I had to do for it to happen was just like not get in my way and stop it from happening. It feels like the same with like relationships, and it's like a weird thing, right? That if you like, you can just let your life happen, and if you're like doing the right thing, it goes in the right direction.
So true. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, we get in our way a lot. We overthink things, and we hold ourselves back. It's so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then, yeah, when literally you just kind of, like, I was kind of, like I said, like when I was in Geneva, I was in a bad place in my career, but I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, just, I was literally at the whatever point. And so I let go and let myself step out of my comfort zone and do things. And then it's like a puzzle, and it just, everything fell into place by me just kind of like stop being so uptight, or like just letting go a little bit. So yeah, that's so true.
What was like the worst part of the process for you? Like when you're in that bad headspace and you were struggling in Geneva and you're like at that lowest point, like what's the thing that gets you there the most, or that got you there?
I think it's man, it was like, I think the hardest thing was the belief. Like I just didn't, like I had no like self-confidence in myself. Like I remember, for instance, the hardest thing was like I remembered being this like bad dude on a bike, and like, yeah, maybe I still was a little bit, but I didn't believe that at all. And like people were still had a ton of fans, and people were still super stoked to see me, and like they're paying me to come to Geneva and race. But like for me, I was like, it just didn't feel right. Like I just felt so, like it felt so foreign, like I wasn't even there, just like uncomfortable, and I couldn't do anything right on the bike. I just literally, dude, it was like I felt like I was wearing like an iron suit riding. Like I just felt so uncomfortable, and that went on for a couple of years over there. For some reason, I just couldn't. Nothing was going right. Didn't feel comfortable on the bike, and then had injuries, and then come back and injuries, and it just like all kind of morphed together. Yeah, it just compounded together, and I was just like, it finally got to the point where it's just like, well, probably like not gonna get any more jobs, like if I keep this up, like who's gonna want me to race for him? And then like I was just mentally just burnt out of it, and then so then I let go, and it turned my whole career around.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to think that, you know, you can be in such like because even just like your riding style, like just it's wild as fuck. And it has been like, I mean, it's gotten like you've reined it in, and it's still like, I think about
a little bit, yeah,
like Anaheim 1 first lap, whipping off the triple and just landing to flat, like almost sideways. Like I wish I could have like a freeze frame of like what your bike looked like when you landed from that. So it's like, I don't know, just to know there's that guy, and then to hear like the way that you struggled. And there's probably something to it that you don't know what you don't know, right? So like that's the first time you're going through something that gnarly, and it's the first time you're in that kind of headspace. You're probably just sitting there thinking, well, I guess this is just what happens to dirt bike dudes. You bad dude, and then you're just not good at riding anymore, and then you retire and you get another job. Like, you know, it'd be very easy if you've never been through that before to just think that that's how this shit goes.
Yeah, the weight I had, the pressure I felt like I had on my shoulders the whole time I was at JGR was so gnarly. It was like, I left Honda. I just wasn't like, I was just looking for a change. It just wasn't, the fit didn't feel right to me. I just wanted to have more fun, and I felt like, it was like talking to JGR and, talking to Coach Gibbs and get the call from them, and they're super interested, and they fly this private jet down to my property down in Florida, the close airport. They fly me up to Versatility, check it out, and I'm like, this is awesome, like this is the sickest thing ever. And I like was so stoked in their operation and what they could do. And I went there and I had surgery before I got on the bike and got healthy and all good, and then getting ready, and it was like some injuries and stuff like that, and just the pressure like I felt like I had there, like I had this big contract, and it just dude, it just piled up on me, and it kept like I would have these breakthrough moments like that, like you said, like scrubbing that triple, throwing it sideways. Like I had these moments like I'd win a race, and like I gave them lots of race wins and lots of firsts and stuff like that, but I was never, I went there believing that I could win championships, and they believed that as well. And I was never able to, we were never able to make that happen. So it was just a huge, man, it was the pressure. It was like just crumbled really. And then towards the end, obviously, like they were, Yamaha was starting their team again. So that was pretty crazy actually. That time too, they got a call, obviously, and like Yamaha was starting a team, and like then like I don't know what went on, but I got a call and they're like, hey, we need to have a meeting with you. And they're like, yeah, we're either gonna have to fold the team, or you're gonna have to take like this huge pay cut, and we're gonna do Suzuki for a year. And I'm like, that was like, and I was alone. I was living alone up there. Like that was the first time I was kind of away from, like, not away from my family, but I was just like up there doing my thing. So that was like, I was in a bad place already, and then they threw that at me, and it was like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like I have to make this decision. like I was on my last year contract, so it was like just like so surreal. Like, and then I was already not in a good place, and then get thrown on this new bike and having to get it done in 1 year, and more injuries and things like that. And it was just, like I said, the pressure was so gnarly. It just, it broke me down big time.
So is the pressure the money? Like the fact that they've given you like this big contract, and then with that, it's like, righto, you're the championship guy, like go win it. And then as soon as you're not, because there's a point in the season, like, I mean, you could probably get like 4 or 5 races in and know like, okay, I'm not going to win the championship, which that's always like gnarly too, that we get 17 rounds, which I think it's probably like a different, maybe we'll save this for the next question, but it's like you get 17 rounds, but then it's like the points all go in this order that you can be 5 races in, and it's like, it's over, like you're not going to win the championship. So then like, what do you race for? But yeah, I guess, was it just the pressure then of like having such a big contract and then just feeling like you're just not delivering on it?
Honestly, no. It was the feeling that I had was I couldn't deliver the podiums and the wins. That was really what hurt me like the most. Like the money aspect of it never came into play really for me. Like obviously, I went there and got paid a lot of money and was supposed to do all this stuff, but it was more of like what really like broke me down inside was I just couldn't do it. Like I couldn't go and get the job done that I wanted to get done. And then like you just see like people lose, believe in you, and then just things start to crumble apart. So that was just like mentally just like tough.
Yeah. And then if you've never been through that before, like I feel like you could go through a struggle at Gas in a similar way but it just wouldn't spiral to where it did, purely because you've been through it before, But when it's your first time going through something like that, you just don't know how to deal with it.
Definitely. Like even like last year, I felt like things kind of didn't go the way I wanted them to go, but I was still like like it never crumbled apart or felt like that. Obviously disappointment and like wanted to perform and do all these things, but it's like even at the end of Supercross we were still like battling for, you know, third place in the championship, so it was still strong, but definitely it wasn't like, it didn't ruin us. We were still, you know, fighting. So yeah, it was it's just different. And you know, the first time you go through that definitely is, it can tear you down big time.
And so what's it like then to hit that point in a series where you're like, I ain't gonna win the title, but you still, like, obviously you still want to go and get the job done, like there's still bonus money, there's still, but like, is there like a weird switch mentally when like you almost check yourself out of the championship race?
It sucks for sure. It's yeah, it's not fun, but I think when you're in that position, you move on to the next thing. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna fight for trying to get third at top 3 in the championship.
Yeah.
So and I've been in that position a lot of times. So I never like it never hits me to where I'm like, okay, well I'm just gonna cruise around and like just roll around and collect a check. Like that's no way. Like that's just not my style. So I'm always like, no matter what, like buckle the helmet up. I'm gonna go out there and give it my all, no matter what, and fight for, you know. It's like I remember it might have been Dino or something, or I can't remember who it was, but we were battling. Like I saw him someone do an interview, and we were battling for like 5th, 6th, 7th place, and he's like, yeah, the dude's racing like he's going for the win. And I'm like, that's just how I am.
Yeah, MTF, bro. That's all you gotta say.
Literally, it's just old school.
Yeah. Do you think that there's like something that could be done with the points to where you do, well, I guess like the SMX thing, that's sort of trying to do like the playoffs to keep it like interesting, but I always would think that there's like drop rounds that you could do, or, you know, like you go, all right, you get 17 races, but we only take points from 15, or like some kind of, I don't know, like, I mean, a lot of championships do that to just prevent guys from just like walking away, you know, with the championship. But then I guess there's so many arguments to and from there, you know?
Yeah, so many arguments to that. For me, yeah, obviously, I think it'd be great to, you know, to be able to have a, you know, drop your worst race or something like that and make it more exciting. But obviously, they went for a different excitement by doing the super motocross and combining all that stuff and adding more races and stuff. It's definitely, is that the route I would have took? I don't think so. I would have tried to like keep the same, you know, thing, but make it, I don't know. Yeah. Like you said, I don't know if you drop a race or something like that. I mean, but it's hard decisions and there's a lot to it, but there's just so much going on in the sport right now. And, you know, we have the World Supercross like this year, that stuff looks sick. And obviously I'd love to, like, I love Europe and love going racing over there. So I'd love to do those, but now we're kind of, you know, we have so many races, and then what we get like a month off before we start testing or something, and barely. So it's like we're kind of got our hands tied for racing over here.
Is it too gnarly, you think, like the amount of races that it's not just like, because it's not just the races, then you've got to have the time to test, and then you've got to have, you know, it's like the travel time, and, you know, essentially in motocross and supercross you're doing 2 different sports. Like, I don't know, do you think that it is just too gnarly, like where we're at in terms of the amount of racing you have to do?
I think it's really gnarly for sure. I think it's definitely hard. So for instance, like we don't, you know, gas, we don't have a test rider. So like the 250 kids, like me, I do my own testing and stuff. So like to do that, like you have to have a really good crew chief, which actually, like this year we have a really good crew chief, Ollie, old mechanic. Now he's the crew chief of the team. So he's done a really good job organizing that. So that's went seamless. But I think the biggest thing now is it's like, you have to have a really good plan throughout the whole season to like stay healthy and recover quick and like do all this stuff. So I do feel like I have a good thing going right now, trying to figure that out. But now I almost, like I said, it feels like now you have to be a little more smarter about your training and not to overtrain, because the season's so long, there's so many races, and yeah, it's definitely gnarly. And like even like, you know, we missed that second round, but you know, we have an off weekend, so we're just going to fill it in on an off weekend. It's just kind of like, I feel like, you know, we probably could have skipped that one. It probably would have been all right, but now like
Yeah.
our truck driver has to drive from Tampa all the way to Oakland and then Oakland to Texas, like to fill that in. Like it's like all the truck drivers are having to get a second truck driver just to like make things happen. So, yeah, it's gnarly. They just don't want to miss a race, which is, you know, I get it in a way on their side, but also like for like a lot of people, it's really difficult. Like privateers are absolute living legends. I don't know how these guys do it because the season is so wild and there's so many races and the equipment's taking a beating and all this stuff. Like privateers, like bad dudes, because it's intense. Like I only did privateer thing like one race, so I got a little taste of it, but I couldn't imagine doing, you know, all the races. They're legends.
Yeah, dude, even just the logistics, like just knowing, you know, like just to drive to those races and to deal with all of the logistics of just being in that many places that many times.
No, it's absolutely crazy. I don't know how the boys do it. Yeah, more power to them. Like it's unreal. Like all I do is I like to book my own flights, and like that takes time just to book flights for me, Amber. Like that takes a lot. So I could only imagine logistically, like signing yourself up for the races, like paying the entry fees, driving to the races, getting your bike sorted, your parts. Like those guys, like to be competitive and do that is just unreal.
Yeah, and to be fair, like there's some really good guys that are out there as privateers these days. You know, like it's just, dude, to make a 450 main event in 2023 is just some like next level shit. You know, like if you can if you can be a privateer and put a bike in a main event, like there really should be some kind of compensation for doing that, because like you're a fucking G.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. To go in the main event is a real deal. If you're doing it all on your own, and a lot of guys are like, and you see those guys, like I used to kind of be like, oh, like why is he so stoked on winning the LCQ? Like for us, we're like, the LCQ is like such a bummer. But I get it now for 100%. I see it. Like it's so special to get in the main event. There's so much stuff that goes into it, and just like all I have to worry about is, you know, taking care of myself really and being fit and healthy, and like the bike shows up, and that's it. Those guys have to do everything. So yeah, they definitely should. There should be so much more money in this sport, but it's just it's not that. So
Where do we think, like, where do you see, you know, like you've probably got a few more years, like right at the top of the sport, like where do you see it going, or like where would you, like when you retire, where would you want Supercross to be?
Good question. I think where I would want to see it be is, I think motocross is super special. Motocross should always be around. Like that's just the roots of it. That's how we all grew up racing. So it needs to be a motocross series. Doesn't need to be, 10 races, 12 races, 8 races. I don't know. But I think Supercross could shrink down, do, instead of, 18 races, do 12 races. And the biggest thing, I think they need to somehow go out there and find bigger sponsors to bring like a more, make it's legit. It's super legit, our sport. Like, we have but it's just energy drinks and stuff like that. We need like, some like big tech sponsors or something like that, like involve like Amazon or something like that. So I'd love to see it, some bigger sponsors, more fans, a little bit shorter, intense series maybe, and just guys having fun, and obviously have rules still, but let the guys rough each other up a little. I'm just joking about the roughing up part, but like, no, like for instance, like remember when Weston and Vince got into it, like they played that on the big screen, like we were talking about that a bit, but like just like, either you can't fight or you can't fight. Imagine if we were allowed to fight like on the track. That'd be pretty crazy.
Dude, just
I
straight
definitely,
hockey.
I definitely, yeah, I definitely get beat up for sure. Like I'm no fighter, that's for sure.
Dude,
Yeah,
imagine if
hockey,
it was
dude,
like hockey, the rules, and you just had to both like Velcro your gloves, chuck them on the ground.
That's why hockey's cool. Like they fight hard. Like it's sick. Yeah, that would be sick. That would be so funny.
Dude, the Western punch and freeze, like that was probably one of the most like shocking and dope things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, because we've all
actually
seen it
saw
at a
Weston.
local track. Like, we've all seen it at a local
Yeah.
track, but to see it at Supercross was so fucking gnarly.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely intense, and yeah, he was sick of it, and I get it, but yeah, Weston was fun to have as a teammate. I actually see him this past weekend. He looks like he's doing good. The dude's so shredded always, and like we used to make fun of him and say that he eats concrete for breakfast. He's just such a meathead, like so gnarly. It's so funny.
Dude, he seems like the kind of guy that could have done like any sport and crushed it.
Yes, yeah, he was. He's just good. I feel like he's probably good at anything he does. Just like a really tough guy. Don't really care.
Yeah, there's not that many dudes like him around. Like, I feel like, I mean, LaRocco was kind of like a pretty kind of tough sort of dude, like farm boy sort of style. I feel like Mike Brown would definitely fuck you up. Like, there's some guys that,
Yeah.
you know, I guess just like those East Coast farm boys, you know, but there was not many guys like Weston Pike that were in the sport. Like, he was a pretty unique character.
Absolutely not. Yeah, Weston definitely was a unique character, and yeah, like you said, LaRocco, Brown, Weston. I mean, Tyler Evans was kind of like crazy. That what is it? One punch.
One
They
punch,
nicknamed him
yeah.
like he was like that. Yeah. So there was some stuff going on, but yeah, Weston was definitely it seems like maybe the last of that crowd right now.
Yeah, he was the last of like the enforcer dudes.
Yeah.
So,
and me, dude, honestly, I would.
Oh no, go. Sorry.
I would so the MTF thing, it leads into that as well. Like when Weston was Privateer Suzuki, I remember trying to mess with him on the track. Like I didn't think about how big he was, and I remember like in the tunnel I saw his dad, and they were like gonna kill me, and like luckily my mechanic kind of got in between. But yeah, that was like the MTF thing messed me up because I just didn't think at all.
Dude, so yeah, no, it makes sense. So I think we've pretty much done 3 hours, but we can't leave without talking about why you love revving your motorcycle so much.
So it's funny you say that because I was talking to someone about that this past weekend. I don't know who, but they're like, yeah, you rev it, but you don't rev it as much as you used to. And I'm like, and I don't know why, but like I just want to get on the ground faster, I think, and just like get that power to the ground. Because like if you look at like if you see my data and stuff, like my RPM and torque and all that, like while I'm on the ground is pretty good. Like I'm not really revved out too crazy. Like yeah, sometimes whatever I get loose cannon and like hold second gear too long or whatever, but for the most part it's pretty good. But mostly it's just all air. So like I'm just treading water, like just trying to get that thing to the ground quicker. So that's really all I can say is I'm just trying to get that thing to the ground quick. And luckily, I'm on a factory team and these engines are strong and it's holding up good.
Dude, there was a video that I watched of you recently, just by accident. Actually, it was on AJ Catanzaro's YouTube channel, and there was a video of you at like some amateur race as a kid. Maybe you just got your Geico ride. Like you might have even had 151 on your bike. And it was at like, you know where I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I just got my on my Geico bikes, and I was at a place was called Blue Diamond. It's shut now.
Yes,
unfortunately,
there we go.
Great track, but the bikes were carbureted and they didn't run so good. And I remember that day, like I was just pissed off all day about how it was like kind of bogging, and I just kept it cracked the whole day, dude, those bikes would not blow up. I just pop, 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 pop. Like, yeah, that video, I saw it too. Well, not long ago. It must maybe same thing. And I was just like, that was just so stupid.
Dude, it was literally just, it's just like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, how many bikes did you go through in your 250 days on Glyco? Or they were pretty good at making sure that they didn't grenade?
Yeah, they were good at making sure they didn't grenade, just swapping the engines out quick. Yeah, like, it sounds crazy. I rev it so much, but these bikes can just handle it. It's just impressive, honestly, because I really push them to the limit.
Oh, dude, I think you probably don't realize how much you've fucked up an entire generation of amateur kids, though. Like, I look at Deegan and I look at like all of the AM kids, and they're just like baby Barcias, man. Just put that thing on the valves and just let it sing.
That's so cool. I'm so proud of them.
You're just like, yeah, boy. Everyone's telling them, like, everyone's like, man, you gotta shift gears, and you're over there just like, boys, don't listen to any of these fools.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, Deegan's ripping too. I'm stoked to see when he goes racing. Those are on it. His dad does a good job with him. I'm stoked to see him go racing. Yeah,
man, I feel like he'll probably, like, I think he'll probably do some East Coast races for sure. Like, I just don't see him not showing up.
Yeah, I see the same thing. It looks, the videos and stuff, see it. I mean, he looks really good, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like he should just go for it and just do East Coast. He's ready. I don't think there's for him, he can go now or he could wait, whatever, but there's no reason. He's just good enough to go. I mean, I don't even really see him ride in person, just videos, but I can tell that he's looks ready. So hopefully he
goes. So you can like actually
exciting.
So you can actually look at a guy and go like, oh, he's ready, because we all. I mean, if you just look at, I mean, you could watch like a Cade Clayson go ride at a local track, and you'd be like, holy fuck, like, who would beat that dude? You know, but that doesn't mean that he can go out, you know? So it's like, but you can see, when you see Hayden, you can see like he's ready, he's got the speed.
I mean, for me, I can see it. I watched his last YouTube video and I've been interested too, because they moved to Tallahassee, which is cool. Like, I hope to get them come out to the track and hang out. They just seem like a good time, a lot of fun. So yeah, but the videos, like, I haven't seen him ride in person, but you can see his tech, like his style and his comfort. You can see he like believes in his riding and what he does. And so yeah, for me, I see it. Like, I'm sure his dad definitely sees it as well, but his dad's smart, so he's going to make the right decision and they're going to do it together. But yeah, I'd like to see him go racing sooner than later.
What do you think the fan like reaction will be, or the people that he'll actually bring to the racing? Because there's just not many people. There's probably literally no one that can bring the kind of people that he can to a stadium. And it's just crazy to even think that a 16-year-old kid is in that crazy of a position.
It's cool. It's really cool. I'm like, their channel's fun to watch. Like, it's just what they do is cool, and they just it's the family. You know, they're all Brian's, a legend of, when he's doing the backflips, and him and Pastrana always going at it and stuff, like, so gnarly. So it'd be great, if anyone who could bring, like, that's the thing, we need people to bring in new sponsors and new fans and all this stuff. So maybe he could be the one who changes that. That would be sick. That would be awesome if they could do that. And, like, they do have those, like, they do have connections already, like with Ford and things like that. So they're already doing stuff. So I think it'll be great. It's only going to make the sport better. Yeah,
no, I'm with you. Dude, I just had a random idea. Deegan Platinum at Bamland.
Oh, it'd be so epic.
Get Wes out there with some cherry pickers. Swanberg on the camera.
Oh, may it be so sick. Yeah, I just mellowed the track out. Like, it's still pretty intense, but maybe when I retire and I'll just get like a good sponsor to kick in some money, and I'll get an excavator and just make like insane again. Yeah, that would be epic. We'll get you out there as well, so it'll be legit.
Dude, that Verb Platinum video, I watched it this morning, and I was just like, what the fuck was he up to, man? Like, that was a kid that was
dude,
so
literally,
free.
that was like, yeah, I was literally like my first or second year out at the farm by myself, just sending it. Just all I did was ride and have fun, and yeah, it was. And then those guys were like, "Yeah, we want to come and film this," and like the track just got built, and I was just at the cherry picker, like sending it. It was I was just like feeding off of it. Like, it was so funny.
Dude, the one shot where you go long, I think it was just one of the tabletops.
Oh, off the
It was
table.
just A1, bro. Same shit. Just upside down with the flap.
Same but different. That one was way sketchier because the tabletop went like super deep into a hole kind of, and I literally, like, it was gnarly, but luckily I just like bashed it out and kept her on. But yeah, it was so intense.
Dude, nah, that was sick. Well, I appreciate the chat, bro. I'm very stoked that we got a chance to do it. I'm glad that you didn't wait till you retire. We'll definitely do another one when you do retire, and then hopefully we can do some trips at some point. I reckon it'd be sick. Do like mountain bike, moto, do the deal, go through Europe. It'd be a good time.
No, the future's gonna be epic, mate. We'll do some fun stuff, and then like I said, when I retire, we'll open the can of worms and just go ham on the podcast. It'll be great. But this was good. I'm glad we did it as well. I enjoyed it. That was a good chat. It felt very easy to do. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, man. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, there's some. I just think people will be stoked to like hear from you in the format too. You know, like it's you're chilling. There's no, like there's kind of no external sort of stuff going on. So I think the fans will like be stoked to actually get a chance to hear what you're like as a person, more away from all the craziness, because people just don't get a look like that.
Yeah. No, definitely not. I hope so anyway. And then, hopefully they'll like it. And then, I'm going to go try to get the Tesla charged up. Find a spot.
What's the plan? Dude, so you literally have to do a 3-hour podcast and then go and sit at a Tesla charging station somewhere for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of gay. Don't buy a Tesla. Like, not cool. Don't rent a Tesla.
That's awesome. All right, bro. Well, I appreciate it, man, and that was rad. I hope you enjoyed it, bro.
Same, mate. Yeah, thanks for all the support. I always appreciate it. You're one of the real ones. Thank you.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, GYPSYTales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the GYPSY Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. GYPSY Gang.